I don't like that.
What was it? I didn't hear a peep out of that. Did you hear? What they
I
said?
don't want to start it back up for him.
Oh.
I'm trying to get him all going again. It was just like
I don't know why he did that anyway. I was like, those things are never fun. You're basically, you're the host of what's a commercial for a bunch of bands. It's just, he's a great comic. He sells out Madison Square Garden. Like he
4
doesn't
times.
need
And he
to do
did a
that.
great job too.
Yeah.
He did a great job. Somebody was talking about
4 times in 2 nights.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. He turned over Madison Square Garden like a comedy club.
Yeah. Like he was doing an improv.
Like he's doing the fucking
I got 2 shows
improv.
Fridays, 2 shows Saturday.
Come down to see me.
Square Garden.
It's at Madison Square Garden
in the round. There was no other way.
18,000 people. Yeah.
18 times. Well, I was saying he could have done Giant Stadium.
He could have. He really could have. But it's like,
He ain't smoking.
why bother? Why bother doing a VH1 Music Awards? It's just, it's not a good venue for comedy. It's not a good, like, people see him. It's not.
You know why? Because Eddie did it. Chris did it. I'm going to talk too much to keep this fucking thing going. And it's like it's a legendary old school stand up gig.
VH1 Music Awards?
No, it was MTV.
Was it MTV Music Awards? Oh, they're all the same to me. Does VH1 have their own music awards? They don't? I'm so old. I don't even know what I'm talking about. They're making CDs? Selling CDs after the show?
I know. I still remember that MTV was cooler than VH1.
Does your
VH1.
Jaguar have a CD player?
No.
Then my car doesn't have one either.
All right.
My Tesla doesn't have a fucking.
I was trying to do the math. Is he subtly insulting me?
No.
You got a cassette tape in there?
I'm just saying they don't have them anymore.
I got a VCR in the trunk.
Somewhere along the line, they just stopped making them.
Well, that's the thing, I was in New York all summer, and all those the up and coming rappers are like trying to hand you a CD. It's like, what am I going to do with that?
They still have CDs.
Well, then they do something, and just click on this or scan this, and it goes to like a Vimeo page. And then I'm like, is this guy in my phone now? Like, what just happened? Does he have my contacts? Yeah, so I just kind of steer clear to them.
I get weirded out by those little Q scan things. Is that what they call them? Is it Q what was it?
QR code.
QR code. I get weirded out by those things because your camera goes on it and then boom, it opens up a website. I'm like, what is happening here?
I'll tell you what's a weird one, is they have home security systems now where I was reading an ad for this on my podcast, and I was thinking like afterwards, like a lot of times home, I guess, I don't know, alarm goes off because your window blows open and then everybody fucking shows up and it's like, oh, sorry, the window blew open. This actually has video cameras so they can confirm that somebody is in your house. But then I'm thinking like, well, what's to stop them from just turn that on and start watching your life like a show?
Nothing.
Like, hey, they're fighting again.
Well, for sure, if there's a stream, it's possible for someone to do that.
They will know.
For sure. If there's a stream,
No, in the contract it says we would never do that. Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's not like some people don't. Look at this. Doorbell camera from Ring has partnered with 400 police forces extending surveillance concerns. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're just using it to catch the bad guys, which is going to be what they're saying. But there's going to be somebody has their dick in their hand right now looking at that looking through that doorbell.
It's inevitable.
And then the way people get obsessed, like then you're jerking off just to the woman walking up to the door to go into her house, and it's not enough. Man, I gotta see what's behind the door. Calls up, hey, would you be interested in furthering your security? No, I think the doorbell is enough. Interesting you say that. We just had a case the other day where unfortunately she thought it was enough and it wasn't. Really? And then sells him that. Now he's watching her eating cornflakes.
It's a slow creep into your life. How much time before it's everywhere? Before everyone can see everyone everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what's weird is younger people have a much different idea of privacy.
Yeah.
Because their shit has kind of been out there. I would not want to be young right now. They have a real tough time where... Dude, when I was younger, when I got my ass kicked, it was over. It wasn't video documentation for the rest of my life. This is the kid from Rocky Point. He's all grown up now. You're trying to get laid in a bar like 20 years later. You're like, yes, that happened. I was 8. Sorry.
I was just thinking of that. I watched this kid try to throw a triangle up in a street fight, and the guy slammed him on his head and punched him unconscious and kept punching him while he was out. And then the kid just climbed off of him and walked towards his friends. And everybody's like, oh! And this guy's lying on the ground, pawing up with his arms, like probably experiencing severe brain damage. And I'm thinking, what if that was my son? You know, what if that's your son? You watch some guy slam him on his head, and then as he's unconscious, punch him 5, 6, 7 times in the face.
Yeah, that's fucked.
It's fucked.
That's why I stopped fighting.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt anybody?
No, I didn't want to be that guy. I was like baby fat tough until like fucking 6th grade, and then I sort of leaned out, and then I was like, I better get funny. And then that's when people started to learn how to fight, and there was blood and shit. And I remember there was this dude, I think I told this story before. The kid got off the bus. He was fucking jacked. The other kid was kind of baby Huey, big guy. But the other kid got off the bus first, and he just jumped him. And then just sat on his chest, and it was like, oh, one of those fucking fights. And the kid didn't come to school for a week. He came back. By the time he came back to school, most of the swelling had come down. But he almost looked like he was a cousin. It wasn't him. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, I don't want that to happen to me. So
that's one of the darkest things I've ever heard anybody say about a fight. Khabib Nurmagomedov said about Conor McGregor. He was, I want to change his face.
Yeah, see, there's people out there like that are like, yeah, there's that. Okay, I should stop now is missing, and you don't want to be underneath all of that. They just kept getting worse the older I got. That sound of somebody's head hitting the floor.
The worst is World Star Hip Hop videos, where well, the worst one I ever saw was this guy was drunk and he was talking shit, and one guy knocked him out. And then when he's out cold, lying down, everybody took shots at him. I mean, everybody in the street. People were kicking him in the head, were running up to him, kicking him like a soccer ball, punching him in the face. I mean, like 10, 15 people doing it. Just running up to him, boom, kicking him, running up, punching him. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
How did we get on this? I don't know. I got a great special coming out.
Yeah, your comedy special has nothing to do with brain damage or random acts of violence. Why'd you decide to do it in England?
Because I'm a Zeppelin fan. And it was about doing it at that. I just wanted to perform at that venue.
Royal Albert Hall?
Yeah. So then I performed there, and I had a great time. Although I was in my head for a long time, like during the show. I was like, I'm standing where Robert Plant was standing, and John Bonham's drums were fucking right there. And I really had a hard time because
while you were doing stand-up?
Yeah.
How many shows did you do?
I just did the one. It was in June of last year.
Wow, you only filmed one show?
No. That's the first time I did it.
Oh.
So then, some of my reps came over, and I was just like, wow, this place is amazing. I mean, it was incredible. And we just started talking. Just going, you think maybe we could shoot a special here? I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, is my shit gonna work over here? It would be different. Yeah, each special I try to make it be a little different, a different vibe, southern crowd, northern crowd, west coast, east coast, or whatever. So we just kept talking about it, and then I talked to Binder about it, and it all just became about me and him smoking a cigar in London. I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And then the whole way up, I was questioning, going, did I fuck up? Was this fucking stupid? I should have just shot it in the States. And then I'd be like, no, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Wait a minute. What if I don't fucking, and just, which probably ended up being a good thing for it. But, I did a run of dates leading up to it before I shot over there. And I kind of knew what was going to work, and I knew what wasn't going to work. And then, people who are showing up, they're listening to your podcast, so they get like the references and stuff. Because I was talking to somebody going, I was surprised, they got a lot of those references. It's like, well, that's a specific crowd coming to see me. If I did all of those jokes in front of just a random London crowd, I think the people,
right.
The fuck's this guy talking about?
Where did you do gigs before you did London? When you did a run of gigs, did you do them in England or did you do them?
Yeah, I did Liverpool, Manchester, Glasgow. I can't remember. And then I did one other one. Began with a B. Forget. It was just literally bam, bam, bam. And I got sick when I was in Liverpool. I don't know what happened. They ate something before I got there or whatever. And I had like this stomach virus. I had it the night too when I was shooting it. I was like getting over it. And So I was just like, there's always, and I was thinking, is there always something? Or am I just that age that there always is something, but I just don't notice until the night there's cameras here? You know what I mean?
When everything's heightened.
Yeah. I'm like, I fucking threw my back out. Never fucking fails. Special, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, well, I throw my back out a couple times a year. Except I'm just not shooting that night, so I don't give a shit, and I just joke about it. So why don't I just do that when I go to do it? So,
how many shows did you film?
we did 2. And it wasn't the same night either, so it's kind of weird. Rather than like bam, bam, so you're warmed up. I kind of had to get going both times. So, and like most times, it was the set that I liked better. It was probably, I think, the second night. So most of it's from the second night, and then there's just a couple, just because it went a little too long, and I wanted to get in, kick the shit out of them, and get out, leave them wanting more, the old school thing. So there was just a couple. I think we just took just a couple things just to kind of splice one section out of there, and splice the things, and then get it going. So.
How many seats?
I don't remember. I don't
big
remember.
Place?
I don't remember, but I do know the night of the special, like, I did this thing. I was making fun of that whole support the troops thing and everything. And what had happened was it wasn't working. And it was killing the whole tour. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Finally go to record this shit, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out that some terrorist group had made a bunch of fucking threats or something that day.
Oh.
Yeah, and nobody told me.
Oh.
You know, well, don't tell him. I don't get in his fucking head. So now I'm thinking, like, why isn't this working? Am I suddenly not funny? Not like it didn't work, but there was just this thing hanging in the fucking air. Had I known that, I would have addressed it, and then it would have been fine. So we just spliced that little, 6-7 minutes out of there. I don't know.
That's a great bit, though. I love that bit.
It is, but I recorded at Madison Square Garden for just like a double vinyl I'm going to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm into all those old school rock things. Like, I'll lose my ass. I'm going to lose my shirt on it, but it has that bit on it.
Didn't you do that before, like at Radio City or somewhere? You did another album in the past. Was it Radio City?
I did one at Carnegie Hall. And then the last time I did Madison Square Garden, I didn't explain it to them correctly that I was trying to record to do an album there. And they just took the audio from the board. So I'm just like super loud, and it sounds like I'm in front of 8 people. And I was just like, all right. Lesson learned. All right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I like doing that, like, nerd out comedy shit. Like, I love all that stuff. Like, I just saw Tarantino for the second time. I saw his Once Upon a Time in America, and I went down to his theater that he bought, that Beverly Cinema, and they had all this cool merch from the movie, like, buttons and posters and T-shirts and shit. I didn't buy anything because I'm trying not to have, because then I get sentimental and I can't fucking throw it out. It's just like
hoarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your wife get mad at you for shit like that?
What, hoarding?
Did she go, why did you bring this home?
No, I'm the one who says that.
Oh.
I'm the one who goes like, okay, now what are we throwing out? Not throwing out, because then it ends up in the fucking ocean. Where are you going to bring that where someone can actually use it? Yeah, so now, like, whenever I do like comedy festivals or anything, and they have that whole merch bag, I just say I don't want it.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. But we got a phone charger back at the end. That's not going to work in a couple years because I'll have a new phone and then I just have that thing.
Do people send you a lot of shit? Like,
no.
Because of the podcast? You don't get T-shirts or stuff like that?
Occasionally, but I kind of put it out there like, I just need you to listen. That's enough. I don't need you to... Because then what sucks is when people really take time to make something,
right,
and now it's like, I can't leave this behind. And it's always big and awkward. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get that in my bag? So, yeah. And then you show up at the airport with some big stupid thing with your face on it. Like, what the fuck is with this guy?
That's always weird when someone wears their own shirt. When a comic or a musician or something. I had a guy who I really like, Zuby. He was here the other day, a rapper from England. He had his own shirt and his own hat on. If he wasn't such a great guy, I would have given him a hard time. But
you have quite a few listeners, so he's getting a free advertisement out of it, I would imagine.
Well, he was getting advertisement out of the whole podcast, I would imagine.
Right.
You don't have to... I guess maybe.
Everybody's got their own fucking way of doing shit. So, I don't know, but I've been having fun. I gotta tell you, I was so envious of you earlier this year because you put out your killer special and just watching you getting to do my favorite thing, dump the shit I'm sick of and try like the new stuff. So that's where I am in my act. And I follow you on all the stuff. And I think around May or something, June, you said, all right, it's ready to go. and I was doing an acting gig, and I couldn't get the sets that I wanted. I was like, "Fuck, man, that's what I want. I gotta get going on this shit." Because people watching, I gotta fucking follow you sometimes down the store, which is never fun.
Well, we're doing gigs together this Thursday. We're doing the Improv and the store. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of these gigs.
My lightsaber goes up about this far right now, where my act is. I go to turn it on. It's like,
How old is your act now? Like the act you're working with?
I have. Look, I can go down. I can murder with 20, and then the rest of it gets a little. We get a little lost at sea. I'm sort of drifting on a piece of plywood, you know.
That's
for
a
little
fun time,
while.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If people haven't paid to come see it, so what I will do is I'll stay adrift a little bit, and then I'll just do shit from my special. But now, as of tonight at midnight, I won't be able to do it. So now that's gone. So then
Will you still be able to do the Troops bit because it's not in there?
I won't do it because I did it already, and it's coming out on something. And I also feel like most of the places I'm gonna go to, I already did it in that city.
Right.
And I have this paranoia that the exact same people show up. And
Have you ever had fans come and sit in the front row 2 nights in a row and you see them?
I've had people back-to-back shows, an 8 and then a 10:30, and then they're sitting there. It's just like, and they're just sitting there. The rabbit's already in the hat. The rabbit's already in the hat. It's a body double. They know everywhere where it's going.
That's a Teddy Bergeron bit. He's wearing a wire. He's wearing a wire. Santa Claus isn't real. He's wearing a wire.
Right.
How good was that guy?
Oh, he
People
was
don't
amazing.
know. He was one of the greatest of all time. He really was. I saw him when I was an open micer and I almost quit. He won up on an open mic night.
Oh yeah.
And Bill McDonald was the host. Is that his name? Yeah.
That's funny. Those early on guys can make you want to quit.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was so good. He was so polished. And I felt like such a slob.
No,
He
the
was
thing
so
about him too
professional.
was it was effortless, and he made it look effortless. It was just effortless. He just went. John Panette was a guy I saw where I was just like, it didn't make me want to quit, but I was just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
He went up on a Tuesday at Nick's.
Yes.
And it was like fucking, there was like maybe 30 people. This place held 400 people. It was just like a lull. It was like when I started was the 80s hangover, and just stand-up was dead. And there was like 30 people, and there was a bunch of, bitter comics going, this place used to be packed. There'd be a line around the block. You should quit. All these fucking guys say that. So fucking Panette just dropped by, rest his soul. He just dropped by, and he went up and did 12 minutes and got a legit. It wasn't, oh, you're John Panette. Thank you for stopping by. You're famous. It was, he fucking murdered. I think that was the first time he was it was that era when he was doing that You Go Now buffet bit.
Yes.
Where it just keeps, every time you think it got to the height of how funny it could be, it went to another level and then another and another. The only time I ever saw a guy, maybe a guy like Regan or something, where they just had that, you just repeat that thing. I was doing a tour with Norton Mattel and Jim Brewer. And Jim Brewer had a bit. Never cursed.
About his dad shitting his pants?
His dad shit in his pants. And the thing he kept going back to, other than You Go Now, was when he was doing like he was gonna puke. Dude, I remember the first time I saw him do that, I was in Atlantic City, and I was standing, there was a wall behind me, and I was laughing so hard, I started sliding down the wall. I was holding my stomach, going, what is that?
Brewer's an animal. He's one of the most underrated comedians of all time. The worst I ever ate it, coming up, ever, following Jim Brewer. In like 91.
At the Boston?
No. We were at a comedy loft, I think in Nanuet, New York. And I should not have been headlining. I've been doing comedy.
I was just talking to Bobby Kelly about those gigs. Those gigs when you shouldn't have been headlining,
No
but you
way.
were.
I've been doing comedy maybe 4 years, maybe 4. I just wasn't ready. No way. But my manager was good, and he got me a gig as a headliner. Decent money.
Oh, and Brewer was middling?
Mm-hmm. We were fine. I was fine until late show Saturday night. When I tell you he went up just like a man possessed. And he used to have this bit about coming home drunk, and his mother was a demon. You know, do you remember the bit?
No, but I know his talent, so he's already doing him drunk, and then that demon voice that he's going to do. It's over.
And his facial expressions, and he just caught it. He just caught it. Where it was like, I mean, he had murdered all week. He'd murdered all week, but I'd gotten by. Like, I did not have as good a set as him all week, but I got by. It was good enough, no, not embarrassing. Saturday night, late show, lit me on fire.
Championship round.
Lit me on fire. I walked off stage early. I was supposed to do 45 minutes. I think I did 35. It was death. 35 of death. Nervous. Feeling like an asshole.
Sweating.
Oh,
mouth drying up.
Terrible.
Leg shaking.
Took me forever to recover. It took me weeks.
I had one time. I just did Vegas. Whenever I go there, I always go by the Trop, right? That's what it is?
Yeah, Trop.
Yeah. I was contracted to be the headliner, and I got bumped down to the middle act. Oof. I got demoted.
Who was the middle?
I don't remember, but he was great. And it was Frank Del Pizzo was the host, and he was like a seasoned headliner. The other guy was a seasoned headliner, and I just said, I don't know what, I was some young guy they were giving a fucking shot to. So I went out there. This is like the late 90s, and I had my shiny black button-down I'm playing Vegas shirt, you know? And I remember my manager at the time gave me shit about the shirt, going, you're going to wear that? I go, yeah, it's fucking Vegas. You can wear whatever you want. So I walked into the club, and it was just where the Trop was then. It was like an older crowd because they hadn't redone it or whatever, so it was just like their dying off crowd. So, dude, I went up there, and I did sort of okay. I just did okay, but they both had better sets to me. And then that was the Tuesday or the Wednesday. And then the Wednesday I came up, and by then I started to have another not good set, and then I got in my head, like I'm not gonna be able to make these people laugh. And I remember just seeing, like, there was just this lady back towards the kitchen, and like her old lady, you know, that hair that looks like it's flammable. It was just backlit, and that's all I could see, dude. And I just went in and out of like bombing. And so then, what was it, Thursday morning comes, I'm flying my girlfriend out at the time so she could see my big headlining set in Vegas. My name's out on the sign, right? And I remember I don't remember her name, but she called me up. She's just like, Bill, it's so-and-so from the Trop. How you doing? I'm like, good. She goes, yeah, so how do you think it's going? That's what she said. I was like, I think it's going pretty good. The crowd was a little old last night. And she just goes, yeah, I don't think it's happening. And, I think it'd be better if you just we're still going to pay you the same money. She was that was the worst part. She was really nice about it. And then I had to go down there that night. My girlfriend was coming in the next night. I had to go down there. And, I just remember coming in, and Frank was looking at me. And he was sort of looking at me like, how's he going to handle this? And I just was I guess I suck or whatever. And they just realized, and then they were never mean to me. They were never mean to me. They were both really, really cool guys, and we had like a great weekend. But then my girlfriend came down, and it was just like, I had to explain to her why there was another person going on after me.
Did it go better with you as a middle? Or were you shook? Yeah,
you know what it was? It went better, and then by the end of the weekend, I figured it out. But I was never funnier than the headliner or Frank. I just wasn't. I wasn't seasoned. I didn't know how to do it. And it was my first weekend in Vegas. And was that true? I think it was. It was my first weekend in Vegas, because then the next few years I would middle at the Improv at Harris. So that was the thing. You know what was funny was I was really depressed about it. And my girlfriend didn't care. She goes, no, we're still here. We go out, go have a good time or whatever. And then I was almost getting like upset with her that she didn't understand. Where instead of being like, oh, wow, you're really cool, that the reason you came out here was because you just wanted to hang with me. I was too young and angry and self-involved. Oh, yeah.
It's hard when your girl sees you bomb, too.
Unfortunately, she didn't see that. She just saw me middle.
That's not bad.
It could have been worse. Yeah, she could have been there while the whole thing went down, I guess. I don't know.
One of the worst bombings in my life. I was working with JB Smooth, who's fucking phenomenal. And I was supposed to be the headliner, but it was a weird college gig in the middle of nowhere in Jersey.
Right.
And it was hard to get to. And there was no GPS back then, so you had to follow directions, right? Remember those? They'd give you a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They'd call you up. Okay, you're going to take a right here and a left there, and then you take the 101. So
I used to do a bit about the person doing the bad directions, where they would go, okay, and then you're going to see a farmhouse on the right. It has a red door, and there's cows out front. You'd be like, all right, am I going to take a right there? No, you're going to keep going. And they just kept bringing up shit that you were going to see. It's just like, finally, you're just like, just tell me the fucking thing that I'm going to see when I turn. There's a grassy hill, and there's a scarecrow on. All right, no, you're going to keep going. It's just like, all right, sorry.
No worries. So I miraculously got there on time, but JB did not. And so they go, well, we're going to wait for JB because he's not here yet. So I go, okay. They go, well, we have a lounge. You can go sit there and watch TV. So I watch TV, and it's a special, a news special on the Malibu fires. So this is probably like, whatever, 93 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Some gigantic fires. No, it was before 93. It's like 91, 92. And there was a fireman. The fireman was weeping because he had saved his house, but his neighbor lost his house, and he had saved up all his money to help build this house. This guy, you know, it was like his life's work to build his house, but he was devastated because he was a fireman and his neighbors lost their house. This guy's weeping. He's weeping about his house. And then they had this fucking kid calling out for his dog. They couldn't find the dog. They lost the dog, and they were hoping the dog got away to safety. So this kid's walking around, Rusty, just walking down the street, Rusty. Then lady opens up the door. JB's not here, so we're going to have you go on first. I'm like, oh no. So I went on stage thinking of that kid calling for the dog and the fireman crying, and I just ate shit. I mean, I had nothing. There was nothing. Did
you have to do an hour?
No, I wound up doing, I think I was supposed to do 45 minutes. I wound up doing the 45 minutes, and I mean, I ate shit. I did not get any laughs. I don't remember. I mean, I was depressed. I remember thinking I could never do this again. I did it one other time, too, though. I could never do this again. It was fucking terrible. To make matters worse, JB eventually got there, halfway into my set. He goes on after me and fucking murders. I mean murdered. Nuked the room. Flattened it. These kids were so tired of me. They were so, and I was like, look, I fucked up. I watched this, and they were so excited to see me because, you know, they have those college conference things where you go, like NAFTA or whatever it is, and you go, is that what it's called? What are those things called? NACA? Those
no, you just maybe forget. You know, the A.
Yeah. So there's something college campuses, whatever the fuck it is.
I never forgot that in my life. You just said NAFTA. It was
AFTRA.
It's over. Now I'll never remember it.
Someone's screaming it. There's a comic out there screaming it into their
NACA.
NACA. That's right. So I did NACA and murdered. I mean murdered. They told me, look, you can do it clean.
Strong interest forms. I remember that.
Oh, strong interest.
Strong interest forms. The host sets.
They said, look, I remember having a conversation with my agent. She said, look, I know you're not clean, but if you're clean, you can get a lot of gigs. You can get a lot of gigs.
Yeah, that was the big.
And I made
switch.
this decision. People were eating shit. They were eating shit at the conference because all these comics were like nervous. And I said, you know, I'm doing a club set. I don't give a fuck. I'm not a clean comic. I can't do this. I've already done this before. I tried. And I went up and I did all sex material and I fucking murdered. So these kids were so excited to see me. And I got there and just ate shit.
Oh no! They were going.
They were pumped.
Wait till this guy comes.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's the man. He's gonna be huge someday. Oh my god, I ate shit so hard.
I'm just picturing you doing all your sex material, depressed, bombing, just going.
Bombing.
You ever?
Not just bombing, but
you
like
ever bang a girl doggy style?
Nah.
I think when you're old, but this is how you do it, not this scoliosis thing. I remember him having a problem with that bit. I remember that bit, and that bit would fucking murder.
Not that night.
I remember that, and then every chick in the room wanted to fuck you, and then I would go on stage with my orange afro. Hey, I have things to say. Anybody? Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, I ate shit. And one other time I ate shit real bad, I was headlining as well. This one is not nearly as bad as the other two eat shits. The Jim Brewer one was devastating, but in all fairness, it was good for me because it changed my act. It made me realize, like, you got to respect people's fucking attention span. You can't go up there thinking about yourself and trying to. You got to respect these people. Paid money, work hard. Like, you got to be ready, and you can't fucking take headliner gigs when you're not ready to headline.
Yeah.
I remember I did the same place a year and a half later and fucking murdered. And I was so happy. The guy said, wow, you fucking got better. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. The other time where I ate shit, I read a conspiracy theory book about JFK that I fucking love this. It's called Best Evidence by David Lipton. This buddy of mine is in a band.
Behold the Pale Horse. That's great reading before you go up. We kind of came here to forget our problems.
Well, I read this and I was like, oh my god, they shot JFK. It's fucking the government. He said the casket was empty. They changed the autopsy. I had all this shit in my head, and I was 25, so I was
written by some guy who wasn't there.
Well, it was written by a very credible guy who was actually paid. He was an accountant, and he was they hired him.
He was so inside they let him look in the casket. They said, listen, I'm just going to show this to you. There's nobody in here.
I bring the storm.
We did it.
They hired him
shut.
to go over the Warren Commission report, but they never expected anybody to read the entire report, because the report was like fucking 900 volumes or some shit. Just an incredible amount of pages. But this guy went over it with a fine-tooth comb, and he's like, this whole thing was horseshit. Like, the whole Warren Commission report was horseshit. They concocted all these different things. So I went on stage with this thing in my head, like, oh my god, there's evil people running the government, they killed Kennedy.
I'm the guy who's going to save everybody.
So I ate shit on Thursday night, and then they were a little uneasy with me, because they knew I already was doing well at clubs. Like, I was a comic they were looking forward to seeing.
Right.
And then the next night, I apologized. I said, listen, I fucked up yesterday. I read this conspiracy theory book. It'll never happen again. And I went up and killed the next night. But I knew I'd fucked up. I knew it was a mistake. It was just,
You read the Declaration of Independence the next night before you went up.
I was just listening to AC/DC only.
It's funny, I listened to them on the way over here. They'll never get over, because I got the new Tool album, and it's fucking unbelievable. And but I always end up I can't get out of that fucking orbit. I just ended up going back.
Well, it's such good shit. Such good. When I need a really pick-me-up, I listen to a whole lot of Rosie.
Yeah, that'll get you going.
How fucking good is Dean Del Rey's voice? How fucking good is his voice? When he was singing that?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
You should have heard it. You should have heard it.
I put it on my Instagram. Dude, his voice is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a whole lot of Rosie that he was singing? Yeah.
He sang a whole bunch of shit.
His fucking voice is incredible. Isn't he going through some weird back shit right now? Does he have some bulging disc issues?
Yeah, I think it's left over from
Use the torch, man. Fuck these man.
From the that's so easy.
Bike accident?
You should just do heroin. Fuck these cigars. Oh, okay, Joe.
The from his motorcycle accident? Whoa, that's a serious flame you got going there, buddy. Ooh, I like the sound too.
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of his story, so I'm not really sure. I know. I was joking with him. I go, you realize, some bulging disc thing left from this motorcycle accident. So you realize half of that is the motorcycle, and the other half is you being a front man of a fucking rock band, banging your head for fucking 2.5 decades. We laughed. I worked with him this weekend out in Vegas. He fucking killed, but I noticed him trying to sit up and kind of be a little straight, but he's definitely getting through it. And we hung out the next day, and we saw Elton John because he's on the farewell tour. It was fucking unreal.
Was it good?
3 hours, no opener, starts with a hit, plays, it was like closing bits for 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then watching how he moves. He stays pretty much at the piano, but watching how he moves, and then they show like the old highlights where he was like in these fucking platform shoes, just slamming the piano, pushing himself up, like, almost bending over backwards, coming down. He'd do like 3-4 times in a fucking row.
Look at him there.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. And like when he walked, like I just respected the shit out of him when I saw him walking, looking like an NFL running back, going, this fucking guy. No, he realized people paid money.
Oh, you mean looking like a current NFL running back?
No. I mean like walking like when you see those guys, not the guy who's getting elected into the Hall of Fame. The guys who've been in the Hall of Fame for 10 years. When they come walking up to hug the other guy and all the shit kind of settled in. Yeah, but like...
his piano rotates and everything. Smoke, fire.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the background.
They were just jamming on that thing like... I actually missed that part. I was at the Steak and Shake or something.
Speaking of Tool and rock-related injuries, Maynard, when he's on stage, he stomps his foot on the ground. Like, stomps. Like, he's always, like, stomped when he sings. Well, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was having a hard time, like, working on certain moves. He's like, my fucking hip. It's like something wrong with my hip. He wound up having to get a hip replacement from stomping on the ground. He stomped his hip out.
Do you know Hulk Hogan, back when we were doing the Opie and Anthony show, he came in, I was like, I thought this guy was like 6'7".
Yeah.
And he was like 6'4", and his arms hung down to his knees, though.
Yeah.
And he ended up saying that because of that finishing move he did where he would leap up in the air and just land on his ass night after night after night, week after week, he lost 3 inches in height.
Yeah, all of his discs.
Yeah, got so compacted.
Yeah. All your discs deteriorate from wrestling. Like almost every wrestler I know, including me, I have a bunch of discs that are all fucked up, but they're okay enough where I can get by. And I use machines, like there's a machine called a reverse hyper, where it sort of decompresses your spine. I do all this spinal decompression shit. And I get Regenikine once a year, which is like this, it's like an advanced form of platelet-rich plasma. I actually got it today. I've got like little Band-Aids on my back.
You're gonna fucking outlive all of us.
Listen, I've got the cash to pay for this shit. I fucking take everything. I'm like, what do you got? What do you got that works?
Your body's like a resto mod. It's like you look at him and he's 50, 51, but underneath it's 2019. He's got a little iPod jack in his fucking chest.
A resto mod. People don't even know what we're talking about. We took an old car, like my Corvette. It's not out there, but my Corvette, that's what it is. It's like a 1965 on the outside, but the inside is all 2000s. It's all, the suspension is all brand new, modern chassis.
Yeah, I like if the underneath. I don't like the interior also to look like.
Me too.
Yeah, it all has to look like. Speaking of that, that's another reason why I had to go see that Tarantino movie twice. The fact that was fucking amazing was I was so busy looking at all the cars. And it has one of my favorite cars of all fucking time. I'm not a speed guy. I like cruising, and there's a 67 Cadillac Eldorado in the color that I want in that. It's one of the meanest looking fucking cars.
What color is it in the movie? I don't remember.
It's like this. I don't know what.
It's like a yellow or something?
Dean asked me that. He's like, what's the factory color? Because he knows it. He knows all of that. Like, he knows it, right? It's like a, it's like this.
There it is.
No, that's
a hard top. That's a hard top. Doesn't he have a soft top in that? No. You know what I'm thinking of?
It's one of Sharon Tate's friends. Just look up Cadillac Eldorado, because they're just going to have the car Brad Pitt was driving. Dude, this is Leonardo DiCaprio's best work.
Oh, he's amazing.
You got to see it again.
He's amazing.
I'm actually going to see it for a third time to catch all this shit. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So anybody want? I'm not going to say anything. But
so Leonardo DiCaprio has a different one than Brad Pitt does.
Well, Brad Pitt's character is driving Leo's car.
Oh, it's the yellow one that he's in that picture when he's leaning out the door.
But the Eldorado, which I think is a 67, one of Sharon Tate's friends pulls up to her house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scene. Yeah, those old Cadillacs are fucking phenomenal. Good luck getting one of those into the Comedy Store parking lot, though. No room for anything else.
What I would like to do, just have the underneath, everything be brand new underneath. And then just drive in the fucking right lane, smoking a cigar.
You can get it done. I know
I can't, but that's a slippery slope.
Oh, I'm already down.
I know you are. Hey, you want a warehouse. That's the slippery slope. So I have my old truck, and I like going fast if I was like at a track. Like Dean went out and drove a bunch of fast cars out in Vegas, and he was just like, he posted them too. He goes, was showing how fucking cool it was. And it's like the next time, that time I went out there, I took my lovely wife with me. So we were doing, couple shit. I wasn't going to be like, hey, thanks for coming to Vegas. I'm going to go drive some fast cars. They have a CVS that's all lit up. The Vegas style. You should check that out, honey. Like, where the fuck would that get me? But that was a good trip for us too, by the way.
A good family Vegas trip?
Yeah, it's a good thing to do as a married person, to just sort of like, my mother-in-law watched our kid and we came out there, and it's hilarious.
That's nice, like dates.
Yeah, and we immediately go right back to me and my wife have like ridiculous chemistry. laughing, like just totally on the same wavelength, and it just fucking resets. And I'm learning now, like you gotta, just with the day-to-day and dealing, you know.
Do you guys do date nights? Do you do a lot of date nights?
Yeah, probably not enough. It's like everything. Do you work out? Yeah, not enough. Do you eat well? Yeah, not enough. And then your relationship becomes like the same way. And I've finally gotten out of my stupid fucking, you know, die on every hill, fucking argue everything, you know. I'm getting out of that, and I'm starting to understand, you know, how to do it.
That you're not in competition with your wife. That's what you got to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also that she's also human, so everything she says isn't right. So you just have to pick.
Yeah.
You got to pick, because I'm not going to be that guy where it's, hey, happy wife, happy life.
Oh, those guys are done.
I watch whatever TV she wants to watch. I'm envious of them.
Are you?
Those, because they have the smoothest fucking life, never lose their house. They're just like this, they're like a fucking, you know those big doorman buildings where I got a package for you, Mr. Rogan? Like you become that in the relationship. You should just wear like the bell cap or something like that. You know what I mean? Yes. Those lifer doormen.
Yeah.
They're like in a union.
Neutered.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a doorman for everybody in a fucking uniform gives me shit. Yeah, they're like, you become like that in the thing, but no, we came back and last night, you know, before we went to bed, my wife was like glowing. She was like, I had the best time. And we barely did anything. We just fucking hung out laughing, you know.
You appreciate that a lot more once you have kids, because you realize, like, this is a rare moment. This is hard to do. It's hard to get away.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to connect while someone's going, I want a popsicle. Yeah. I want a red popsicle.
Yeah, well, with my kids, they're older, so they fight with each other. That's mine. No, let me. You're not even using it. It's mine. Yeah. No, you can't use. Yeah, and everything is just, you know, they're separated by 2 years too. So the little one is fierce because she always feels like she's getting the short end of the stick from the older one.
Right.
So she stands her ground. She draws a line in the sand, and you know she's ready to throw down.
It's awesome. She doesn't know how to apply it yet, but that's going to serve her well.
Oh, she's not taking any shit, I'll tell you that. But she's a super sweetheart, too.
My daughter's at that age, you know, where I used to joke, bit in my act, that, like, I always love toddlers because they're like these little drunk people. Like, they have no social graces. You're, like, literally in the middle of a conversation. They come, you start talking real loud. You can't understand them.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at, but, you know, in like, the best way ever. That is one of the advantages of being an older dad is everybody who fucked up being a dad, you know, that look on their face, like, dude, that goes by so fast, man. I'm telling you, cherish every fucking thing. Sit there like the ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah.
Scaring the shit out of you in a good way, I guess.
The cool thing when they get older is you do stuff with them. You take them places and, like, go on vacations together and hang out with them all day long, 24 hours a day, multiple days in a row. Like every summer we go to somewhere in Europe or somewhere. We went to Thailand last year. Thailand and Italy too.
I'm too intimidated to go there.
Thailand?
Yeah.
Oh, it's wonderful. These people are so nice.
Yeah.
So nice. It's hot as fuck and you got weird bugs. And my little one got lit up by bugs, man. Like she had an allergic reaction or something that bit her, and her whole hand was swollen. It was a real freak out moment.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, we're in Thailand and something's medically going wrong here. But it's also weird too. It's like their culture is very odd.
Assuming that had a happy ending.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
we were at a resort. Luckily,
built me up to the apex of emotion. Was
yeah. So
some toothpaste the other day.
No, we got some medicine. They applied a topical medicine to it and actually went down within. You know, by the next day it was okay. But it was an issue.
Yeah,
There's Thailand's hot. You know, it's muggy. Rode elephants. We did the whole day. Hung out in the jungle. It was wild. The sounds that the jungle.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, pictures of the elephants.
No, on your Instagram.
Yeah. The elephants are cool, man. They're weird. It's a weird little relationship you have with these animals. They're so gentle. Like, as long as they know that you are a kind person and you're taking care of them, you watch. Because, like, the people that run this, they run an elephant rescue thing. It's really kind of cool.
I don't know about that, Joe.
That I'm a kind person?
No.
As long as
an elephant is just like, you know what? I don't really feel like yanking these logs up and down this fucking hill. I don't even understand why I'm doing this shit. But this guy seems pretty cool.
No, not like that. you don't do anything with them other than feed them, and you get to ride them. But like, and people are a little bummed out about riding them. And I'm like, I don't really recommend riding them. Like, my family wanted to ride them, and you know, a lot of these people ride. But the whole thing is a rescue thing. They take these animals that are in circuses and all these different sort of mistreated animals, and they take care of them, and they let them live in a wild environment. They roam free.
Yeah.
They just feed them so the elephants stay by, but they go off on their own too, and then they come back. But they have these big piles of sugar cane, and so they're eating the sugar cane. They'll just stop while you're walking with them, and they just rip a fucking tree out of its roots and start eating it. You realize how goddamn strong they are. They are fucking preposterously strong.
I wish that we viewed them more as like roommates than like ours. So we divvied the planet up a little smarter.
Yeah.
I shut my phone up. I found this picture on Instagram of this tiger, and the fucking thing is with like its legs back. It looks like it's doing dips, and just the fucking muscles. It doesn't even look real. Like that thing exists on this planet and was just walking around free. That you could just bump into. I understand. You know, like when people first came out here and they eradicated. That's along the lines of it. I mean, look at that.
Fuck.
How many pull-ups, Joe, do you need to do to fucking look like that?
Fuck. Oh my god. Look at the fucking muscles.
You must have seen that one. Did you ever see that one where they were fucking with that tiger and that dude was on the elephant?
Yeah.
And this thing took off like Jordan in the dunking contest.
Yeah.
And every time it reached its apex, it kept going up like fucking Zion there on Duke.
Yeah.
And it barely grazed the guy's arm when it clawed him.
It tore it apart.
And the guy, like, he had nerve damage in his fucking arm.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a great video, recent video, like 2 weeks ago, of these guys on a motorcycle in India, and they're riding on a motorcycle. The tiger's chasing them, and the tiger almost gets them. It's full clip chasing them.
I actually looked how fast they can run, and I'm surprised because the guy was on like a scooter or something.
They can go like 40 miles an hour.
I think what fucked him up was the surface that he started running on.
Right.
If he was more in his element, they get like a dog in a kitchen gets a little fucking whoa. I think the tiger did that.
They slide.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah, on the concrete, right? Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe just the sound of the engine was just like, that doesn't sound tasty.
Well, it's one of the rare places on Earth where tigers hunt people. There's a history of them hunting people.
They hunt or they come upon them and go, I'll eat that?
No, they hunt them. There's an area called the Sundarbans. In the Sundarbans, tigers over the last 200 years have killed more than 300,000 people there. They actively hunt people.
Believe it or not, it's a quick death.
Oh, yeah.
I already know what I would ever do if I ever came in contact with the tiger. That's exactly what I would do.
Give him the neck.
And make some defensive moves, or offensive moves, just to get him to go right towards it.
Ugh.
It's just like you UFC guys. You're all like, I would rather get fucking choked out than knocked out. It's the same thing. You just go to sleep.
Yeah, you just sleep. I mean, it probably hurts for a second, and then it's over.
It hurts for a second, then as you start to go, I think the last thing that's as bad is the smell of the tiger.
Oh, the breath. The breath.
The gamey, rotten meat breath. Or just the fact that they don't really bathe. Oh, they swim, don't they?
Yeah, they swim occasionally. Yeah, they can swim fast. This is how fast they can swim.
Smell amazing.
That's it.
Did you see those two poor women who they were going to take a fucking hike through the rainforest and decided to go themselves?
No.
Gone.
What happened?
They found their clothes.
Where was this? Which rainforest?
I don't know. I was right in your right up your fucking alley.
Recent?
I was surprised it wasn't on your Instagram. Like that's some Rogan shit right there.
It's a bummer, man. When people get confused and they don't understand. You're a moving thing, and you don't move quick. And they're all about eating moving things. If you're moving, they're trying to eat you. If you're by yourself, they're gonna eat you.
Well, it's amazing that wherever we started on this planet, that our brain was able to cover for the fact of how fucking slow we are. We're slower than squirrels, like everything. Everything is lightning fast out there.
Except sloths.
I know, but they're like, but that's their job.
To get eaten.
Yeah, they're like jalapeno poppers for fucking. you know that bullshit that you just order. You want to get? Fuck it, let's get that. Yeah, whatever.
Sloth.
Yeah. before you go after the real thing you're trying to eat?
One of my favorite videos is watching harpy eagles kill sloths. They swoop in and snatch them. They're like the largest eagles in South America.
I did a
Huge
zip
fucking
line
eagle.
tour in Costa Rica.
I did that.
Yeah, and the guy knew how to make the noise of this fucking ridiculous wingspan bird that doesn't really exist in that area anymore, but they're just in their DNA for them to freak out. He goes, it's a three-toed sloth, and he imitated it, and the fucking thing just kind of looked around a little bit, and it's like, dude, you just gave that thing a mini fucking heart attack.
We did a zip line that was 1 mile. You get on it, you zip across for 1 mile. And as I'm sliding down this thing, with my family, by the way, I'm thinking, when was the last time they checked this? Who's checking this? The fucking ladder was rusted and then ratchet bolted. So they had like straps where they ratcheted where the ladder had rusted, and then they just grabbed a hold of the strap and like clamped down on it and tied it to the fucking tree. And we're climbing up this, and it's like, oh, watch out there, that part's rusted through. Like, what? That's rusted through. And then you get to the top and they latch you up to this thing, and I'm telling you, you're above the rainforest, and it just and you go for like fucking 10 minutes. Just
people don't understand how high those. We were just in the bullshit. We were just in the very tippity top of. We were in Costa Rica, so we weren't like in the shit. And I just remember, like, the thing where we were doing, you know, the little, I guess, platform that you went up to was so fucking high off the ground, and it was a third up the tree.
Yeah.
Like when we were looking up at the three-toed sloth that was over there, it was like another 400 or 500 feet, it seemed. Up, it was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nature,
man. There's a fucking great story recently of a guy. He's a musician, and he was recording sounds of nature, and he fell asleep, and a bear ate him. So this recording of him getting eaten while he's recording sounds of nature.
Bears seem like it's a long death.
Oh yeah, they just eat you. They just hold you down like a salmon and start chewing chunks off of you. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, because they're omnivores. Omnivores are the worst thing to get killed by. You're better off getting killed by a predator, because predators generally just want to kill you and kill you as quick as they can. But bears, first of all, there are no predators other than other bears and humans with rifles. And if they're in a place where there's no humans with rifles, they're the top of the food chain. So they just put a paw down on you, they hold you in place, start chewing chunks of you, just eating chunks of you off. The video of the grizzly man.
Special.
It's tonight at midnight on Netflix.
You know, my brother called me up one time. I called him after he had watched some video, and it was one of those Komodo dragons, and it somehow grabbed like a deer-looking thing, whatever the fuck is in its world that's like that, and it. I'm sorry, people, but it snapped its fucking leg, and he said the thing was laying there and it couldn't move, and it just started eating the thing's guts, and the deer's sound of don't. Shut that fucking thing off. I don't watch any of that. I don't watch execution videos. I don't watch that on my hard drive. I'm going to bomb tonight watching that. How do you find it that quick? Jesus Christ, this guy's good.
He's got them saved. Yeah, there's a great one of a Komodo dragon eating a monkey. And it's got, like, look at it. It might be a baboon. It's a
baboons are no joke. I never knew when they fucking yawn, you're like, oh shit, that's like a tiger monkey.
It's like a dog monkey. That's what it's like. It's like
they got those fangs.
Yeah,
wolf.
Crazy.
Wolf.
Yeah, a wolf monkey. Yeah. They eat kids.
Someone's got a new band named that.
Wolf Monkey. That's a good name for a band. There's a great video of this Komodo dragon. He's got this monkey's feet and tail hanging out of his mouth. He's doing just slowly choking this thing down, eating this entire monkey whole. And the tail and the little feet are poking out. It's like. See if you can find that. Show it to Bill.
No, I don't want to. I honestly don't want to watch.
Just put it on that one. So I
don't.
Put it on one TV.
Can you do that while I talk about my new special coming out?
Paper Tiger. Speaking of animals, why'd you go up to why Paper Tiger?
Because I just think we're in a hilarious time. Because you already took strange time. I have to stop saying, like, I like the amount of times I had to stop saying it's a weird time to stop saying special. Because it just is. Like, what we're focusing on. Like, oh my God, can you fucking believe this? Wow, this real, like, half the shit that's going on, if it's true, is like you could make a Will Smith or a Tom Cruise movie, one of those end of the world movies where they accept, it's not going to have a happy ending, and it's just like, it just kind of strikes me, I don't know. And it was also, I wanted people to watch it and have fun. Like, I'm not trying to fucking hurt anybody. It's not malicious, but I'm doing my job. I'm talking about what's in the news, and I'm fucking around, and it's part that, and then the other part is just me talking about my flaws, my temper, and trying to work that shit out. That's all this fucking thing is. And for some reason, not just saying stand-up, just a lot of shit that is not, as far as like if you had priorities, like if your house just burnt down, you're not being like, God, we have to get a new toaster. It's like, no, we need shelter. Like, that's the number one thing. But there's all this shit that's like, a line of importance, like line 42 is getting gassed up to like number 7 or number 8 or something like that. And I already know people are going to be like, typical white male, because you can't, like all of that shit, There's just something funny about how overtly, I don't know, I guess, reversed, like, it's like you're doing the same fucking thing and you don't even realize you're doing it. As you're saying, like some groups of people, not all of them. Like I've been joking how like a lot of feminists are like smart, but it's not the ones that are on TV. It's like sports fans. A lot of sports fans are really smart, but not the ones that call in sports talk radio.
That's perfect.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like when we would do the Opie and Anthony show, okay? Or like Howard Stern, like when he would do back in the day when he would do live remotes. I love Howard Stern. I love Opie and Anthony, but like if I was a fan of this show, I don't have time, and I'm not going to some fucking mall in the middle of the day blowing off work or whatever, because I'm trying to get my own shit going. The people that show up, you love them because they're diehards, but they're out of their fucking minds. So it just has to do with that. I'm kind of... it doesn't necessarily have to do with me, but it does. It's one of those things. And it's also another way of saying that I'm full of shit. And,
you're a paper tiger.
Yeah, exactly. So
the Opie and Anthony days, remember when they used to have stadium seating, like small stadium seating in the studio? And guys would come in they would let fans come in the studio and sit and watch the show. Those are the good old days.
Yep. Every time I go to New York, it's like a void. Somebody said it perfectly, like, phantom limb,
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And you get, I'm in New York and I'm gonna,
doesn't exist. That was the last show that I used to get up early for. And when they were together, before Anthony got kicked out, and Opie and Jimmy and Anthony were all together. It was amazing. That was
like seeing a band with all the original members on the first fucking couple of albums tour before David Lee goes solo, and then
well, they were the first guys to get ported over to XM too, right? Mm-hmm. They were the first, or I think were they before Howard or around the same time? But they were the first.
That the same? I think they were on. That was when it was XM and then Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
Before
I think like Howard was on Sirius, they were on XM, and then they merged.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were the first show, the first radio show that let you just fuck around. Like, Howard is amazing, right? Greatest radio personality of all time by far. But Howard controlled the show. He had you on. He had the board in front of him. He controlled the board. He asked you questions. He had an agenda, and he was trying to make the show as entertaining as possible. And then he got rid of it. O&A, he just fucking, come on in, guys. Come on in, Patrice. Come on in, Bill. Ari Shaffir, have a seat. And everybody, you'd be in the room. Ricky Gervais, 10 fucking people in the room. Norton would be doing fucking creepy characters. I mean, it was the birth
Jive
for me.
Talk Jimmy was my favorite one.
Oh, he was
Jive Talk Jimmy. You remember that?
Yes.
He didn't do it enough. That's like a deep cut Jim Norton. Jive Talk Jimmy was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
It was so silly, which is my favorite thing ever. Highly intelligent people being silly is one of my favorite things ever. And Jim and Patrice were sort of the king of that.
Oh, yeah.
Super, super, super next level smart and just silly, really silly. I think when Howard went from terrestrial radio to Sirius, it was like he died because I didn't have, until I got Sirius in my car. So it's like my favorite thing about my car because I listen to them every fucking morning. If I, and I got to get them up, and it's like the old days, like when I first came to New York, and I get to listen to it.
They were the birth of podcasts, whether they realize it or not. They were the birth of podcasts because O&A was like a podcast, like this podcast. Like we didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about. There's no fucking discussion whatsoever. I mean, obviously you and I don't have to do that, but we wouldn't anyway. We just come in here and shoot the shit. That's all they ever did. Come on in, shoot the shit. What the fuck's going on? You know, Anthony would have a gun on him. Look, fucking show you. Has a fucking gun everywhere to this day. That guy doesn't go to piss in the middle of the night without a gun.
My favorite deep cut Anthony character was the guy with giantism. Did you ever hear him do that guy?
No. No, he didn't.
I can't do it. You know, with the giantism and they get that voice, you know.
By the time I was 8, I was 9 feet tall.
I can't do it. He would do this fucking thing. I'd always go in there dragging ass, and then like something like that would happen, and then it just felt like 2 in the afternoon somehow, and you look at your watch, it was like fucking 7:02 in the morning.
Do you remember when Anthony did Live from the Compound? He built a studio in his basement.
That's when I was like going, this is not going to last. This guy's literally building. It's just like, it's like we're in business selling ice cream and I'm building my own ice cream parlor at home. No, Joe, I'm in this business with you. I knew like there's
they were going to fall apart.
You know what's funny is what did that show and is also what made it great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they used to play they used to play the sorry about that. They used to play the Clint Eastwood thing. I always thought the theme to that show should have been the wheels on the bus go round and round, because it was just like, and the thing was, you were on the bus, but you were outside it. You were you almost like, I always felt like when I went in there, that Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, when Harrison Ford's on the hood and you're grabbing onto the hood ornament, trying not to go underneath it. And some days you hung on, and then other days, except it didn't have the happy ending. You didn't have the whip to hang on to it. You just fucking...
Do you remember the day we were there and Pat from Moonaki threw up in
Are you kidding?
Pat Duffy's mouth?
That was your idea.
Yeah.
And then that dude, Nathaniel came. He was the one that coined it, the baby. I got credit for some reason. I think Dan's voice sounded like me. He came up.
Oh, he came up. I've been saying it's you.
No, your idea was your idea. You were like the only thing that could top this. For those who didn't see it, it's such a brilliant idea. It was the eggnog drinking contest, and you had to do a double shot like it was bourbon, but it was eggnog, like every 30 seconds. Well, and the returning champion was Pat from Moonaki, who had diabetes and lost a toe to it already. It was just sitting there. And then he continued to drink it.
Oh, yeah.
To do the bit that you came up with. I mean, there has to be like a... you know when like a broadcaster can get into the Sports Hall of Fame just because, you know, he never played the game, but he like, you know, because of what he added to it. I always thought that Pat Moonaki should have been like, they should have been like a Chick Hearn, Johnny Most sort of award that he fucking with his health continued to drink. I remember when people posted that video, everyone was saying fake, this isn't real, and that made me enjoy it real. I was like, no, that was real, and I was there.
There was plastic bags all over the ground. Remember, they put plastic everywhere, all over the ground, because they knew that people were going to throw up. They had the garbage can ready, and then Pat Duffy leans his head over the edge of the garbage can, and then Pat from Moonaki just, here comes, you see him, and then it keeps coming. It keeps coming. It's like way crazier
it was
than
like
Stand
a hydrant.
By Me.
You just it just fucking came out, and then somebody kept shutting it off. And every time, I mean, it was like a.
There it is. There it is.
I can't.
You
watch
can't
this.
watch this.
You know, I still can't tell the story. If I tell it in detail, I start gagging.
Oh, see, Fear Factor killed all that in me. I never.
Dude, I'll tell the one that makes me gag. I start to gag is when there was the dude. I can't fucking watch it.
It was tremendous.
Dude, I'll say it real quick.
Okay, go ahead. You're tearing up.
There was a dude who got knocked out. So then what he did was he puked into a pitcher. He puked into a pitcher, and then he was drinking his own puke, trying to make the other people puke. So then somebody dared this guy who had to take a swig from it, and he had like this hipster Viking level beard, and he. I can't do it.
You're gonna throw up.
I can't do it. This is like fucking 10 years later. He took this Viking level swig. He just threw it back. So he gave himself like kind of like a facial with it, and then he puked into the pitcher, I think. And I remember it was in his beard. There's a point in that podcast, in that show where I almost puked.
Yeah. That's a crazy thing about seeing
And everybody's
so many
going,
people.
oh, Bill's gonna go, Bill's, and I was like hanging on to the fucking table.
Yeah, we didn't realize that at the time. Those are some of the greatest moments of our life.
You gotta forgive yourself that because you were in the moment.
Oh yeah.
I was feeling like melancholy when I was in Vegas, and I had this. I was sitting in my room smoking a cigar with Bobby Kelly, Rick D'Elia, from Boston scene, right? And we were sitting there, and I was looking down at the strip before they came over, and I was thinking about the first time I came out there. It was right before they imploded the sands or the dunes or something. They were starting to implode those old ones, and just walking up and down the strip. And the Rio was the new hot one, casino, and just all the great fucking times and crazy fucking stories and all that. And then just walking around Vegas, being old now, and seeing all these young people and you want to stop them and just be like, dude, if there's any way to take this in, do it, because, at my age, if I was to continue doing that, you're just a creep. And I really respect younger people where it's just like, this is their time. Let them have it. That's their club. Yeah. Don't be standing in there with your white whiskers and shit. Fucking trying to listen to their DJ music. Just get the fuck out of there. Let them enjoy their generation's drugs and let them have their fucking stories and just, yeah.
So, there's no way you could impart that on anyone. Tell them to soak it up and enjoy it. I had moments where I remember thinking when I was young, like, wow, this is a wild moment.
Well, I remember you that night after the baby bird. You were at Caroline's. You were at Caroline's, and I went down there, and you had that fucking grin on your face. You're like, that was great radio. That was great radio. I was just like, and I remember. I told the whole fucking story. I came home. Nia had just started living with me, and her friend was there, and I was telling them the story of what I saw that day. And I was laying on the ground, crying, laughing, and then this guy did this. Do you remember the guy who was fucking, he would do his shot, and when anybody would puke, he would stand over in the corner and not face them. He was facing the corner, so we started calling him Blair Witch. Everybody got there. So I'm crying, laughing, and then gagging as I'm telling the story. And then they weren't laughing, which made it even funnier to me. And then I just remember a friend at one point she was like, where did they find these people? And then that just set me over the top. I was like, I don't know. Just crying, laughing. But God bless them.
Yeah, where did they find these people? Well, that was the thing of like shock radio. Shock radio gets such a derogatory, it's got such a derogatory connotation, Shock jocks, shock radio. Oh, great, shock radio. When you're a young guy and you're a part of that and you're there in the moment, it's one of the greatest moments of your life.
Yeah.
It's so, because it's
my
so
thing
wild.
is you're not shocked if there's thought behind it. Shock is just like, oh, what happened? Fuck those people. That's just basic level shit. Like I remember when I was coming up, and you had just torn through the Boston scene, and then you got on some show. It wasn't news radio. It was something else.
Hardball.
Yeah. And you were coming to the Kowloon. It was the first time I was going to see you do a set. And all these guys, he's so dirty, blah, 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 blah. And I watched your set. And it's like, this guy isn't dirty. There's like thought behind this. Like anybody could do like a hand job joke, but your joke was like, you said, you ever have a woman give you a hand job? It's like brushing your teeth with your left hand. And I'm like, that's a fucking killer joke. It just happens to be about a hand job, and some people can't separate that.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day where there was still a bunch of guys that were left over from the days where Stephen Wright made it by being on The Tonight Show. And there was this weird feeling to the air. And they talk about it when Stand Up Stood Out, Fran Solomita's documentary, which is an amazing documentary.
Yeah, I love that.
But those guys before that were just wild. They were just comics. They were doing blow. Yeah. They were getting in fights. They were chaotic. And then Stephen Wright got on The Tonight Show and became a fucking superstar. I mean, a gigantic national superstar. And everybody else was like, hey, what the fuck? What about me? And I came along after that. And there was this remnant of that there. Remember, you remember Chris Zito?
Yeah.
Chris Zito was giving me advice when I was an open micer. He was like, you can't swear. If you swear, you're never going to get on TV. He was telling me all this shit. It was like, in his eyes, he was doing me a service.
Right.
Because that was in his eyes.
It came from a good place.
It came from a good place.
Right.
In his eyes. But I was like, fuck, he's going to make me quit. Because like, this is what I want to do. I'm like, I grew up watching Dice Clay and Sam Kinnis. And he goes, well, you're not Dice Clay. I'm like, okay.
It's like, well, neither were they until they were.
But it was bad advice from a guy who hadn't made it, right? He hadn't made it. But he was, at least he was a professional. And I was as far from making it as humanly possible. I was an open micer. I remember I went off stage one night, and he goes, Joe fucking Rogan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Joe fucking Rogan. Did he say fuck enough? Like, in his eyes, he was like, look, I'm just telling you this because I care. Like, you're fucking up your career. All right. So I had it in my head. I was like, well, I'm not going to do this then. In my head, I was like, I don't want to be that guy. Did you ever notice? I'm not that guy. That wasn't me. I liked talking about shit that made my friends laugh when we were all sitting around drinking.
Right.
That's why I was in it. I was in it to talk about wild shit.
Right.
It didn't mean that you couldn't be clever and talk about wild shit, but I had never fit in anywhere in my life. So the idea of me fitting in, like on television, this is almost like too weird for me.
But like in defense of that, there was like 9,000 stand-up shows on TV that you could get on, and you could become. It wasn't just the Tonight Show, because the Tonight Show was the biggest thing. Yeah. But then there was the comedy on the road. There was even get the improv. There
half-hour comedy hour.
Half-hour comedy. There was all of this shit, and so that's what they were guiding towards. And then I had the tail end of that. And then...
Well, you started in 90?
92.
92.
So when I came, it was the tail end of that, work clean, and then it was, talk about your family so they can build a show around you so you can do a sitcom. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to do a sitcom. Like,
I can't say that. Everybody had this idea in their head that there was only one way to do it. The beautiful thing about all that shit imploding is that there's none of that now. Now comedy is comedy. And when you see kids coming up now, you go to see the guys at the store that are like doormen and open micers, and it's like guys, girls too. Allie Makovsky, I take on the road with me all the time. She's 23. She's just getting it together now. She's in that stage now. She's like 5 years in. They just want to do comedy, man. These kids just want to do comedy.
Well, there's people now who, because comedy's doing so well, stand up. There's people who like weren't comedians, made it as something else, and now are thinking about doing stand up.
Right. Yeah.
Do you realize how lucky we are that we're doing it now? That's what I would think. I said it to my wife when I was in Vegas. I was like, you believe I get to do this?
Yeah. I love it.
And I'm going to hang and fucking...
As long as I've been doing it, I still love it. I love it as much now as ever. Maybe more now than ever. I mean, I don't have to do it. I'll do 5-6 shows a fucking week in town. And I love it.
No, that's why you're great, because I always felt the guys that never stopped going to the club... If you continue to tour and you become like a draw, you don't have to go to the clubs in LA, but I feel you pay a price for that, because those kids coming up, you're getting something from them too. As much as they're watching you going, oh wow, you're that guy that I saw, and now I'm doing a show with you, and it's just like, kid, you're keeping me young, because like just being around them, you stay current.
Yes.
And it's why Dom Irrera kills just as hard in 2019 as he did in 2009, 99, 89, is because that fucking guy never stopped going to the gym.
Yes.
And stays in there. So I get something out of going to see, I get, something out of watching Dom, out of watching you, and then out watching some new kid coming up. And just being in all of that keeps you like current. Because if you don't, you start getting like a must. There's a fucking, that old person dying smell starts to start wafting on your act.
Yeah, if you're only doing it to your crowd too. I think there's a problem there too. One of the beautiful things about the store is there's 15 guys on the show that night. They're there to see everybody. They look at the lineup. They go, oh shit, Bill Burr. Oh shit, Chris D'Elia. Oh, Nikki Glazer's on. They see all these great
I love
comics.
Chris
on there.
D'Elia.
I do too.
Chris D'Elia is like from the get-go, like I could see, like, you know, it reminded me like of a Boston guy, where just like it's like this guy's a legit headliner.
Just trying to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to kill. That's all he's doing.
No, and then his concept of killing, I thought was Boston level.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's these, you know, and particularly because he's always at the
That
store.
right there, that right there is
the
me.
last match.
No, but that right there is how I live my life.
A match.
The hardest fucking way to do something.
Why do you do that? I do a lot of things that way, but not when it's ineffective. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I bow hunt.
Well, that's where we're deep. Yeah, see, I like that. Like, I feel if I was going to go out and go kill something cute and fuzzy, if I fucking had a, total hypocrite because I am a meat eater anyways, if I used a bow and arrow, it would feel like an accomplishment. I watched Ted Nugent kill a bear, which I could never do. You know, when there's all these fucking places to just get a chicken sandwich. Like, do I really need to make a fucking, a bear double cheeseburger?
Do you want to try some? I have bear sausage in the freezer back there. Would you try it if I gave it to you?
No.
Really?
No, because I went to the zoo one time and I saw this bear, and it was funny because it was sitting half in the water and half out and had its front legs fucking like, it looked like it was sitting in a jacuzzi.
Like a lounge.
And we pulled up on the bus to look at it. And it was just the way it looked. I kind of met eyes with the thing, and I knew what it was thinking.
Pull
Like,
out the
buddy,
video of
you know
the bear
something? I
killing the deer in the backyard while it's eating it alive, and the deer screaming.
Why? Why?
Because you need to know what a bear really is. When you see bears in real life, you go, "Oh, that's what that thing is. It's a fucking
You'd think
killing
the bear
machine."
would just punch it in the head to stop hearing
Look
it.
at this. See that? Look at that thing.
No, it's
Tearing
getting it by
apart.
the net.
No, it's taking chunks out of it, bro. Believe me. The reason why that thing's screaming is because it's biting its back. Okay, that's enough. That's a
That
bear.
sounds like me trying to touch my toes every morning. You know what's hilarious? You know what my daughter does when she likes to stretch with me? She thinks it's funny, and she makes those noises because she thinks she's supposed to. So she goes, I want to stretch Dada, and then she goes, oh, like I have like a foam roller, and she'll come walk in the room and she'll look at me, she'll smile, and it's funny. She sits on it because she doesn't know how to use it. She sits down and she just goes, oh.
That's hilarious.
And my wife laughs at me like, she's
Hilarious.
imitating how old you are.
My kids are allowed to hit me as hard as they can. I teach them. You know, they've taken martial arts classes, but I teach them. And one of the things I do is I have them
I
leg
need some
kick.
advice in that area because I want my daughter to know how to defend herself.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I'll get you a good school near you. But I let my kids leg kick me full blast, just full blast, and I show them how to do it where the shin slams into the
pads on?
center. No, I let them fucking slam into me. Well, I have men do it. I mean, I've been kicked by a lot of
I
people.
know, but there's an attrition to that.
No, you're fine.
That's right. You're 2019 on the inside.
Resto mod.
He's got resto mod legs.
I let them slam their shit. It fucking hurts, man. But I'm letting them know. Like, if anybody ever fucks you, if there's somebody who fucks you over, some kid wants to get into a fight, some girl is picking on you, slam one of these bitches right into her fucking thigh. Like, it hurts me.
Debate over.
Yeah. Teach them how to, like, defend themselves. It's also important that they understand what it feels like to be in conflict with someone. Like, when I enrolled them in martial arts classes when they were young, like my one daughter was 4, the other one was 6 when we first started doing it. And it's cool to watch them grapple and do these things. I'm like, what's good is, like, you know what it's like to struggle with someone. This is not an alien thing for you to struggle with a person. When I watch my youngest daughter grapple with this boy and trip him and slam him onto the ground and get on his knee, and then the instructor's like, good job, try again, and they're doing it again. Like, you know what it's like.
So they have muscle memory.
Yeah, well, otherwise it's
freeze
your
up.
mind. Yeah, your mind doesn't know what happens when someone's trying to do something to you. Whereas if you've done it, it's not alien. I mean, it's not like you should do it. You definitely shouldn't do it to someone if they don't want to do it to you. But if someone senses that you're scared of conflict, it's one of the surest signs you're going to get fucked with. And that was me a lot of my
Don't
life.
need to explain that to me.
Well, it was me a lot of my life, man. I've had both. You know, I went from being a kid who was terrified of conflict to being a martial arts champion. The reason why I became a martial arts champion because I was being picked on all the time.
Right.
Kids were always fucking with me. I was like, I don't like this. I'm like, so I'm going to become what I'm terrified of.
Oh, I should have done that. I was just like, well, school ends at 3. You can realistically only do this for another 2 hours and 45 minutes. I went the other way. You remember that? Remember that? And they used to have to teach you, like, and they would have the 2 people, what, Eddie right way, Mikey bad way. We should do that. Do a little, we'll make a kid's book. Have me, young me with a fucking orange afro. There's only 2 hours and 45 minutes, not knowing that, no, in 2 hours and 45 minutes, all the authority is going to be gone.
Right.
That's the scary thing now about with mixed martial arts going mainstream. Okay, and there's no ref to get in there.
Like that video I told you
Yes,
about.
that's what is scary. And then everybody, like I think with young kids, it's like, oh, I want to be the guy going, oh, that's who they want to be. No one wants to be the ref to jump in and say stop.
They want to yell out World Star.
World Star, they want to do that, and they all want to have it, and then post it and get it to have some hits. Like, that's like, I mean, I'm not shitting on it because that's what I would be doing if I was young.
I got a video pulled off of Facebook and Instagram, and I got a community guideline strike, because it was violence against minors. But it was a kid who was picking on another kid. He wouldn't stop fucking with this kid. And then finally the kid just pushed him away and then put up a stance like he's ready to fight. And the kid came after him. He kicked him, grabbed him, slammed him on the ground, and got him in an armbar. And,
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was great.
It was a fucking amazing video. And the kid didn't even get hurt, but it was a lesson. Like, this is why it's good to learn martial arts.
Yeah.
Because this kid was a cunt. And he was fucking with this kid, and the kid knew how to fight.
Right.
So I put it up there. Like, look, this is the benefits of learning a martial art.
Yeah, and then those people who their heart's in the right places don't post that because that's going to make kids fight other kids. It's like, no, that's you're not going to, like, through words and hashtags stop having kids
be kids.
Be kids, and it's going to happen, and
yeah, it's
gonna happen.
I mean, the idea that you're going to protect kids from reality by that is just so silly. You're not going to stop people from doing things to people. You got to understand what is happening when people do those things and how you can learn how to fight so you can mitigate most of it. Not all of it.
And then the best part is other kids see you do that, and then you become the kid. Oh, don't fuck with that kid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kid will dislocate your elbow.
Yeah, that's who you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to be the nice kid who can fight. Everybody leaves you alone. I went through the entire.
That should be written somewhere.
Yeah.
Be the nice kid that knows how to fight.
There's a lot of those kids now. There's so many more. Getting in a fight in school today with someone you don't know is a risky proposition. There's so many kids that know jiu-jitsu. So many kids who take Muay Thai.
Everything is on another level. You should see these fucking kids coming up playing drums.
Oh, yeah?
Just the shit that they can do it's fucking bananas.
Really?
Nobody could do that. This kid's doing shit that's beyond, as far as independence. Okay? What they're doing is beyond what I saw a lot of guys when I first started buying VHS tapes, drum instructional videos. Now, they don't have the seasoned, they don't necessarily have the feel and all of that and know how to apply it necessarily in a musical sense because that just comes with experience. But what they have in their fucking arsenal for chops is fucking insane.
Because of YouTube, you think?
Yeah, because you're jamming with the world now.
Right.
So it becomes, I'm going to try that. And I'm going to incorporate, Now, the people who do it the most basic level, me, is I just see what somebody does and I try to learn how to do it. And I've only now, since doing comedy, going like, I'm like a joke thief, except I just took that guy's groove that he just came up with. You're supposed to be inspired by it to turn it into something else or work on something else that you're doing. That's like another level that, eventually you get to, I think, as a musician you do. As far as me watching them, not as a musician, but like just seeing what these kids can physically fucking do. It's the guitar players, the bass players. I saw the one that went viral. There was this little girl from like Japan played Good Times, Bad Times like it was nothing, and Robert Plant is watching it, like going, and he's used something. It's like she's falling off a log, which meant like it was nothing. It was nothing to her. I've been trying to play those fucking triplets my whole life, and I still don't have it down. I'm just like, fuck.
What is it about? Is it just kids learn quicker because they don't have as much shit in their head?
Well, back in the day, when you heard something, first of all, you had cassette tapes, so you had to keep fucking rewinding it, and you're at the mercy of your own bedroom. Like, there's nobody in there, okay? And then when you had the record, you could maybe slow it down, okay? But even then, you had, you're slowing it down, there's still the bass, you're trying to get everything in there. It's hard to fucking hear. Nowadays, somebody who's a fucking expert or whatever, a so-called expert, because, the guys who actually play there's a lot of people teaching don't know what the fuck they're doing, like with the martial arts shit that you show. They'll break the whole fucking thing. Yeah.
Is this her?
Yeah. In her little cute fucking
She's adorable.
little girl socks. Look at those fucking triplets she's doing. It's like it's nothing.
Socks. Look at her bag. Look at her face. Oh my god, it's adorable.
No, she's killing it. That's the thing too. Is she's not just doing what John did. She's playing it.
Is she playing 2 Led Zeppelins? Is that why you can't?
Yeah. Oh, is that why?
Okay. Yeah, you can't play the.
I think she's smiling like, wee, having a good. That's the look I had in face when somebody gave me an ice cream.
How old do you think she is?
7, 8.
Wow, look at that. She's a killer. I think it's awesome that you're into music. It's another thing. Like, and I was thinking that too when you were taking me up in the helicopter ride. Like, you do these other things and you get really into them.
I'll tell you what's crazy. Right now, I'm going for my instrument rating. That's to basically fly in like if you were to come into a city and like the whole city's covered with clouds and you can't fucking see anything. How to use your instruments. Yeah, this is what separates the men from the boys, right? So it's something that was really intimidating. So finally I decided to do it. So the guy I'm taking the lessons from, I don't know if I should say this. I still want to blow up people. I never know how much private they want to be. So I fucking go in there because somebody goes, all right, I know the guy. I know the fucking guy. My instructor goes, I got the best fucking guy in LA. So I go to his house because I'm going to fly on a simulator, which is going to save me a ton of fucking money. Initially, and then eventually. So you know what the fuck you're supposed to be doing when you start spending a bunch of money
What
flying.
does the simulator look like?
His simulator's literally a computer screen. He just has like an airplane yoke and a throttle thing. That's all it is. But it's getting you to look at, like, you have a 6-pack of gauges, and then you have these other 2, these your OBS or whatever. It's a bunch of shit I don't want to fucking try to explain here. But you're looking at that. That becomes your eyes. That becomes looking out the window is looking at your fucking gauges, and it's unbelievably claustrophobic and fucking terrifying if you got into that type of weather and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. That's how you die. Okay? Now, so anyways, I go over to this guy's fucking house. He's, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm so-and-so. What's going on? I walk into his house. He's got a whole music studio in there with like a fucking Grammy. He has this whole other fucking life where he like won a Grammy last year for writing a song in some major fucking superhero movie. And he's like a prodigy piano player, and then we go in and he got into flying and just took it to the level that he became an instructor. And I just sit across from the guy in awe, going, all of that is fucking in that. It's fucking unbelievable. Like if you put your mind to shit, what you can accomplish is crazy. Or you see, it's really meeting somebody who's doing that inspires you. Like, oh, all right, I think I can do this. So like before I came over here, I was like outlining like fucking chapter 4 in the fucking thing, but there's all like gauges and shit, and I'm little question marks and stuff. It's like, all right, I'm gonna figure out how to do this, and it's becoming less intimidating. But I haven't gone up yet. But just as far as like getting back to like these kids, because the fact that she's 8 and can do that is she hasn't got credit card debt. She's not in some fucking relationship dating some loser kid who's playing videos all day, games all day, and she has to come up with her half the rent. She has this whole fucking wonderment. And shit is like kids, like they're positive, like stuff is possible. It's fucked.
Do you wish you could do that? Just have nothing but one thing to concentrate on? Just completely free of all the nonsense of life?
I'm not wired that way. It's weird. I think that's why I'm not into speed when driving. I like to do it every once in a while, but like I like cruising along because it relaxes me
Yeah.
It kind of shuts down the fucking thunder and lightning of like, oh, let's do this for 10 minutes, and I'll do this for fucking 6 minutes, and blah 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 blah, and all that shit. So, yeah, I drive in like the right lane.
Well, you and I are very similar in that way. That we have a bunch of other shit that we do. We get into shit like heavily into something else.
Yeah, if I get into it, I get into it. It does hurt me a little bit because I'm starting to find like I don't know what's going on in the world, which is scary as a comic. So I gotta dip back in, but
It's healthier though.
but my wife. But you also have to know what's going on. You kind of got to know who's current in music.
Yeah.
Like I learned that when I needed a reference for a pop star, and I did it at a college, in like 4 or 5 years ago or whatever. The last time I did a fucking college gig, and I used Britney Spears as a reference, and they're all looking like it just died. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. She's like mid-30s, divorced mother of 2. But in my world, she was still 19.
Yeah, we were looking at Instagram numbers. Who was it? What was the Selena Gomez?
Well, her and Ariana Grande are up, but
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo was the top.
Right, but singers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like 190,000 million fucking Instagram. I mean, she's got 160 or some
It's like
crazy
130
shit.
and 150 or something.
Fucking
Yeah.
insane. Like,
Handling that in her 20s.
oh, how do you not be crazy? And good luck when you're older. You know, Justin Bieber had a post the other day on his Instagram talking about all the drugs that he did when he was younger and how much it fucked him up. And now he's got a relationship with the Lord, and he's married, and he's trying to be a normal person.
Yeah.
But he's struggling with the fact that he was insanely famous when he was a kid.
Yeah.
That's
That's not something I would, I like seeing people become successful, but that's not something I would wish on somebody.
no, it's not
Like you
healthy.
almost wish like he made it now.
Yes,
But even then, I mean, he's still a kid. I mean, he's like
Yes.
24, 25.
but better now
Yeah.
than making it at 6. You know, when you're a little kid and you become famous, and you're the one calling the shots, you realize all these people you're responsible for their income.
yeah,
They
your
need
brain's still developing, and you have everybody saying yes around you. Yeah,
His brain is still developing now. Your frontal lobe isn't even fully formed until you're 25.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know that.
He's a baby. He's a fucking young boy, but he's, trying to figure it out. He's already, they were roasting him on Comedy Central 4 years ago. It's crazy. And he already had like $900 million in the bank.
Yeah,
It's,
he had accomplished enough by like 22 to get roasted.
yeah.
I mean, most people get roasted. They're like fucking my age.
Alec Baldwin, the one they just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Big fan of his.
I don't know him. Do you know him? Or you
No,
know
I
him
actually
from-
was on a flight one time and he was sitting next to me.
Really?
And I was like, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to bug him. And then he just leaned over with that matinee idol voice. He's like, do you fly often? I was like, yes, I do. And what I found with him was if you just talked about anything other than him
Yeah.
or him being him, he would totally talk. But the second I ever veered it towards what he did, he just didn't have any interest in talking. So I was like, all right, I get it. I
Tired
get
of it.
Let's
Yeah.
So the time I did talk, I just would talk about, anything but that.
Well, have you ever sat next to someone who's like, hey, how do you come up with your material?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's fucking red eye. Yeah.
Right here.
oh,
This is how I come up with it.
yeah. What was that one guy? Where you going, Bill? What was that one story?
Oh, God. Oh, that guy. That poor guy. He was on something. He got all paranoid and he had some sort of military background. He was
had
going to
this
save the
idea.
whole plane.
He had this idea that you were a bad guy. That was a hilarious story, though.
Yeah, he had the idea that I was acting fidgety and nervous.
Because he was fidgety and nervous.
No, I'm also a fucking lunatic. I was probably fucking thinking of 50 things at the same time. I was acting that way, but he took it to the whole other level. Yeah, he stopped the plane.
Oh, God.
We pulled over. Because he goes,
that's
if you don't fucking, I'm going to push that button. I was like, fucking push it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that whole story. He was a military guy, right? Oh, Jesus. People that think they have good instincts and their instincts suck are the worst. Like, people think, I've just got a good way of reading people. Like, actually, you don't.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways to go into something. Humbly and say, I don't know shit. And then as you learn shit and you think, and I'm starting to know, oh my God, there's all this other stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there's other people, they learn a little bit, and then there's this authority.
Trump.
And then you get a couple of drinks in them. And, next thing you know, a plane has to pull over.
How did they resolve that? I don't remember.
I don't really remember either. I just wasn't something I dwelled on. I just remembered the stewardess coming over, talking to us like we're children. Like, are you two going to be okay next to each other? And I'm just like, I'm fine. I don't know what this guy's doing. And he continued to yammer at me until he just passed out. And then I think when we finally landed, he was kind of sober. And I think he was starting to feel a little stupid, I think. We've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Sure, he's a nice guy.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe. There you go. This one way to do it. That's another ending to the movie. I don't think that will test well with the...
Maybe he went walking through the woods one day.
All right, I'm going to let you introduce the next topic. I don't know where to go with that guy's fucking... Maybe he got eaten by a bear.
That's a way to go, boy. If you had to be eaten by any animal, what would it be?
Oh, the bigger, the better.
Shark.
Over quick. No,
Great
not
white.
shark. I don't like that because I don't like my head being here and the evil's under here. Like, just... And it's going to take a bite out of me first to see if I'm edible. Oh. And then you're just sitting there, missing a chunk of your leg going, please don't let me taste good. Please don't let me taste good. Let him just fucking leave.
It's interesting. Sharks used to be, if you caught a shark, people were happy. You got that fucking thing out of the water. Good. Like when fishermen would bring in a shark, people would get excited. Yeah. Now you're a monster.
Well, there's this thing that I follow about sharks on Instagram. And, like, it's fucked. This person found a tiger shark. The 18-footer or some shit, right? And she went down. She somehow gained this thing's confidence and had, like, some fishing line and, like, took it out.
Always me.
Okay? And this can't be real. And then somehow she ran into the thing again in the ocean. And she was petting it like a fucking lapdog. Trying to suggest that this thing
Knew her
and was happy and respect. I mean, the way they cut it together, and of course the music always takes you emotionally where they want you to go. But I was just watching that whole thing going like, it's good that you did that, but I don't think you're at the, I can now, this tiger shark has talked to all the other tiger sharks. No, Bill's cool.
Do you remember Beastmaster? Remember that TV show?
No.
There was a dude. He was like a jack dude, and he had like big bracelets on, and he would fucking commune with the animals, and they would like land on his shoulder and shit. Eagles would land on his arm.
Yeah.
And all the animals would listen to him.
That's
That's a really stupid show.
Because there's nothing humble about that name.
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster.
See,
they're allowing you to live, and
James got it.
now
There
you're
you-
acting. Yeah, you got to have the Tarzan hair.
Who was the guy in Beastmaster? Who
Was it a TV show?
No, there was a. I think
That
it was
looks
a
like a
TV
TV
show.
show.
I think it was a TV show. Was it a TV show? That guy like had this
like that you just
special relationship with the animals. They all listened to him. Oh yeah, I didn't know he had a sword too. So it was
He had a big dick too, judging by how long that fucking loincloth is, huh? It's like hanging down below his knees.
If you don't have a big dick, the lion is not going to listen to you. Look at that. Eagles landing on his arm. Yeah, he this was like the Conan the Barbarian days. Like after Conan, the movie was a giant hit, there was a lot of dudes with their shirts off holding swords.
Holding swords.
It was a thing.
Telling lions where to go.
Yeah. It was
I'll tell you one thing that I would never do in acting is I will never, ever. I can't. I probably shouldn't say this, but like working with monkeys. Aside from it's going to be a bad movie. It's just no fucking way. I worked with a writer who got attacked by a monkey when he was a kid, and it was just one of those organ grinder ones, and the thing fucked him up. Those fucking the eating disorder monkey, After he eats all the bananas, it goes and pukes. It's in show business, man. It's got to dance for the organ grinder music. And
they're fat monkeys.
And he was talking about like his clarity and understanding of monkeys just by getting attacked by one. He goes, nah. He goes, I won't do it. He goes, you do, like, you're good for about 18, 20 minutes, and then the monkey just starts fucking acting crazy, and then eventually it just gets, like, I've always said that. You go to a circus, like a bear doesn't want to ride a bicycle. So what did they do to that fucking thing to make it give in?
Yeah.
And it's a bear. So eventually it's going to become a bear again. You know, and something's going to, like, all like those circus, all that shit. It's just, it's inevitable, like what you're doing.
Yeah, circus is dark. Because what they do to elephants and monkeys and bears. There's a great video. It's not a good, well, it's horrible.
Do you have any happy videos of animals just existing?
I don't save those.
I know you don't. Just them chilling out.
There's a video of a chimp riding a bike and a bear riding a bike. And the chimp tripped up the bear somehow. And they crashed. And the bear grabs a hold of the chimp and just rips it apart in front of everybody. The bear's
With that fucking...
Yeah, here it is. So the bear's riding and the chimp's riding and they collide. And when they collide, the bear is fucking furious at the chimp and just starts fucking
It
wrecking
has
him.
like road rage, right?
Boom, goes down. And he tries to help him get back on the bike. Is this it? Is this the one? Oh, he's got the chimp right there? Oh yeah, it's too late.
I thought they have a muzzle on the fucking thing.
Not this time. They trusted him. So he just fucks up that chimp and they can't get it away from him. That's not even a big bear. It's a small bear.
No, dude, that's fucking huge. Would you want to fight that guy in a bar?
No.
A guy that stocky, that hairy coming at you? George Animal Steel.
It's just such a stupid fucking form of entertainment. You know, let's get animals to do shit that they don't normally do. People are freaking out. Wow.
I like it took them that long to stand up to realize that's not part of the show. Something about music, it can just take you emotionally where you want them to go. So they're saying, and there's he ripping them apart. Like,
Do you imagine that used to be show business? You used to be like in a covered wagon. You pull into town. Ladies and gentlemen, gather around. And there was a show. And then, you know, you have a minstrel show and people would sing and do puppets and there'd be a play. And that's, I mean, when do you think the first guy got up and told jokes and made people laugh? Like, when was our first?
oh, who's that guy? He wrote that great book on the history of stand-up. And it was a guy like Frank Fay or something like that. Was the first guy that went out there. Like, I don't need to have like a fucking hula hoop and spinning plates. And he just went out and was like, I'm just gonna tell stories and make them like. He kind of did a monologue type of thing. But
He was the first guy.
if I
What
have it
year
right,
was this?
I think it was the 20s. And then in the 40s, he was actually on the side of the fascists. He was a fascist. Yeah, there was people.
Really?
Yeah, there was people in this country that, you know, didn't think what those guys were doing was necessarily wrong. Which really, if you look at the history, forget about this country, or humanity, like, there's always been that. So what fucked his career, if I'm remembering this correctly, this could be like fucking, I hope I'm saying the right guy. He ended up doing this.
Here it is.
Yeah,
Frank Fay stand-up.
he did this show. All right, I guess that's earlier when he's doing the props. He's come out dressed like he's in the Foreign Legion. But he did a show right after World War II, right after he won, and it was a pro-fascist rally in New York City, and he was the big name. Signed on to do it, and the night was called the Friends of Frank Fay.
The first stand-up comic was a fascist. How
I can't say. I don't know that. But then there's other people that I got a buddy of mine that will argue that Mark Twain was.
Yeah, Samuel Clemens. Yeah.
Will argue that he was the first stand-up. So I don't know really necessarily. I think it just sort of it sort of poked its head up and then ducked back down, like somebody improv the line, like, "Hey, I did that without my hula hoop," you know. See, it went good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got sick of lugging shit around or something. I don't know what it was, but
Did you ever see Lenny with Dustin Hoffman?
yeah,
It's
he was
fucking great.
great in that.
I mean, he really came off like a comic. He
Yeah.
really seemed like he was Lenny Bruce.
No, he's an incredible actor. You
Yeah.
know, I actually went down a rabbit hole looking up a bunch of shit about him, and oh no, it wasn't that. I don't even know how I went down this rabbit hole, but there was these fucking talk about like before 9/11, like what you could do and then still walk around a free man like 18 months later was crazy. Like these people on the Upper East Side I don't know what the fuck they were doing. This really radicalized time, like the 60s, early 70s. I don't know somewhere around that time. These people were making a bomb.
What?
Yeah, and like these rich kids or some shit, because it was like in a townhouse on the Upper East Side. And Dustin Hoffman had one on that block, close enough to it. And, you know, these fucking idiots blew themselves up, blew the fucking building up, and fucked with his townhouse. And there's a picture of him, if you can find it, is he grabbed some piece of expensive art that he had bought, got it out of his house, and it's a picture of a young Dustin Hoffman walking up the street.
Look at that.
Yeah. This poor guy, like, had the balls to go after a dream. You know, you think it's hard making it as a comic. I don't even know how the fuck he made it as an actor. Now, forget about then. Yeah, look at it. Blew up their whole fucking thing. And he's like, I made it. I'm on the Upper East Side. Oh. Everything's great. And then
Look
these...
at that the building's missing.
Yes. So he owns
God.
something close enough to that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's crazy. It's like all the building to the left's fine, building to the right's fine, and that building's obliterated.
Yeah, I'm sure that there was some damage done to those other ones. So,
but it's crazy how the one in the middle is just missing.
No, but if you look it up, like the jail time that they got, well, I mean, you know, obviously the person who was down there, the people down there died, I think. But then they figured out who was in cahoots with them. But also their parents owned a townhouse on the Upper East Side.
Oh, so they probably...
Listen, Jimmy's been a little, you know, distant. Your Honor, you know, they go to the same fucking party.
Yeah, you can get away with shit before the internet. They passed around some cash. Do you ever see a documentary?
Yeah, that chick who shot fucking Andy Warhol barely did any fucking time, and then years later, how he died. I always thought he drugged himself or just doing drugs or partying, but I think it was complications from
the bullet wound.
Yeah, when you get like shot, like I also think you get
organ damage.
Well, when you get shot in the gut too, that's like the fucking worst, because all that shit that breaks down your food seeps in, like the infections and the shit that happened. Oh yeah, it's horrific.
What did she shoot him for?
I don't know. I'm not saying anybody was a great fucking person here, but that's never a solution. But the jail time that person got was ridiculously short. And then he's got to live the rest of his life dealing with the fallout of what that person did to him. And then also knowing that crazy chick is out there.
Well, isn't the guy who shot Reagan out now?
No. I think they were going to let him out, and he was like, no, guys, no, you don't want to do that. I think he said that.
I thought they let him out.
My memory isn't the greatest. I'm probably combining all three of these stories, and it's actually about...
He's out?
Quick Wiki says he's released. So
what's his name again? John
Hinckley.
Hinckley, yeah.
You should look up everything I say. Actually, Bill, it's completely the other direction.
Do you ever watch a documentary on the Weathermen? Do you remember the Weathermen?
No.
The Weathermen were a radical terrorist group from the 60s.
Oh, I thought it was like some Ron Burgundy shit. Okay.
60s or the 70s?
That's what that Greenwich bombing has something to do with that. There's like a group called like the SDS, the Students of Democratic Society, which was an offshoot of the Weathermen. I'm just looking through the Wikipedia.
Were they radicalized rich white kids?
Maybe.
Well, one of the guys who was one of the Weathermen went on to become a professor at a university in Chicago, and that was one of the things that they were talking about when Obama was running for president. He's friends with a terrorist because he knew this guy from his university days.
Right.
Because
wasn't that like the idea in Fight Club that the Project Mayhem, something like that? You know what I'm talking about? That's the same sort of idea where they just wanted to fuck up all sorts of different things in society and not troll people, but like bomb shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. We should have asked Chuck when he was in here. But the Weathermen, anyway, the documentary is crazy. They wanted to take down society, and they wanted to take down the government. So they were doing acid and having orgies and showing up to places, blowing things up.
And there was no like, so then we can rebuild it. It was just like, let's just fuck it up.
I mean, I think there's a lot of anarchists, a lot of people in their youth where they want to just tear the whole fucking thing down. You know, I was having a conversation with my wife about this. Really interesting. Just the other day we were out at dinner, and she was like, when she was young, she had a rough childhood, and she was hoping that society would fall apart because her life was a mess and other people's lives were great. And she had this thing in her head like she hoped society crumbled because then everything would be fucked all over the world. No one would be okay. Because her life wasn't okay. And I'm like, that's really interesting. Yeah, really interesting because her insight, the way she was talking about it, was like, because she was remembering that very specifically when she was young. You know, chaotic.
That's why that Tarantino movie's so like funny to me.
I loved it.
I don't think they ever say hippie without saying fucking. Everybody go fucking hippies.
Well, there's always been people like that, right? There's always been people who want to take that whole fucking thing down, you know?
I want to know when you can buy that movie and own it. Like what else? Because back in the day, you just buy like the DVD. Because that is like going on tour. That's going to be a Goodfellas movie for me, where I'm going to watch that thing 5,000 times in my life and always see something new in it. And then it becomes like the second time I saw it, I realized how great the actor playing. I'm trying to talk all this surface.
Yeah, don't give any spoiler alerts.
Well, this guy, he plays a director that's going to direct Leonardo DiCaprio. And like what that guy does with that role and how many inside jokes. You don't have to be in show business. How fucking funny that guy is. It's like, you know, the 90th time I watched Goodfellas, I realized how funny that guy was, the guy who had the wigs. Like his character.
Morty.
Yeah, how fucking hilarious and how great that guy played that degenerate gambler. Because the first time you watch it, it's like Joe Pesci and De Niro. You've seen all of those guys, and then you start to like Frankie Carbone and, you know, and, the roast beef guy and all of that shit. But then you just watch it, and it's like everybody is great in this. Yeah. Everybody took like one or two lines, and everybody just like hit a home run.
You know what freaked me out in that movie that I couldn't believe? The violence against women. Like the scenes, the fight scenes. I don't want to give anything away. But there was some where you're like, whoa, you could still do this in a movie? Yeah. Like, holy shit.
That's my favorite quote from Tarantino.
What?
I saw an interview one time and they were saying like, yeah, I was trying to write movies and stuff, you know, and they were going like, you can't do this, you can't do that. He's like, wait a minute, because I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's like that. Well, that's why your movies are great.
Yeah.
Whether you like them or not, you're just like, that's the comic I want to watch. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Good. I want to see you totally unfiltered.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, there's a time and a place, I think, to be filtered.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's no sense just going in and showing your ass and being, if somebody hires you for a private gig and they go, okay, perform between these two lines. You're not Lenny Bruce if you go in there and you go outside and you're a fucking asshole.
Right.
Because you agreed to do that.
Right. You do a corporate gig for a Christian church.
Right. But if you're at like a comedy club, it's like, no, you're a guest.
Yeah.
You came into a nightclub. So this isn't, if you don't like it, you leave. But
they came to see you specifically. Yeah. And all the other people did too. And the one or two people that'll get upset, well, you're the problem. The other people are there to see this kind of shit.
It's incredibly
so rare to see.
Selfish. It'd be like if I went to a restaurant and I didn't like the meal, and then the chef owed me an apology and had to change his menu.
And you didn't want anybody else to eat. Stop eating. I hate this food.
And if you go in there and eat off of that menu, then you're part of the fucking problem. And I'm going to try to take you down too.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a problem with this fucking chicken and dumplings, whatever the fuck he's making. Yeah. Strange time.
Strange.
Best name special, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what else to call it. Just that's all I could think of.
Yeah, I like it because it's not. You're not punching them in the. It's strange. It's a weird time.
Yeah. Paper tiger.
Yeah.
How long do you think you're gonna wait until you do another one? Do you have an idea in your head? You're gonna try to do 2 years? What are you trying to do? Do you have a set schedule?
I never think that. No, because that takes the enjoyment out of it. It's like more like I had a bit that I was doing. The first time I told the story in my new hour, two women like yelled out simultaneously. And they yelled the same thing, which means they whispered to each other, let's yell this in 3, 2, 1. And I got, go fuck yourself. I got into that with them. And then they went upstairs and I'm like, it's a comedy club. I know they're still there because comedy club security is the worst. It's the worst. They don't know how to kick people out. So I went upstairs. I had put the hoodie up and all of that shit. They said they were at the bar. I walked by and then I go outside the club, took the hoodie up, and then they were there. And then we got into it again. And I was just like, you don't even know me. Go fuck yourselves. You know what the fuck I'm saying. Fuck you, fucking.
What were they mad at?
Just my perception on something. I was telling a fucking story, right? So, and it had to do with a lesbian. So that, and then it was the wrong show to do it on. because I think it was kind of a gay show. I mean, I went up there, they had paper cutouts of dicks all over the place, so I'm like, all right. But it's a comedy club, so I'm telling the story I want to tell. So I told the story, and so it took me a little while, to kind of. I pretty much immediately was like, I don't want to have that kind of interaction with people. So I've just been, working the bit out, and then I did the joke the other night at the Laugh Factory, and the exact person from that group came up to me, told me she loved the joke, and she was just like, I feel like you were describing my life. And I'm like, that's the fun of this shit. And, as people say, like, when you're working out a joke, I can't do it at home.
Yeah.
I have to go out there and just start throwing shit against the wall and see how to piece this stuff together. So, to go back to, when are you going to do a special again? I enjoy this part too much to...
rush it.
Yeah, and to be thinking about, then you're like, okay, I'm doing a special. I'm taping it here, and then I'm in the bubble. And then every night I go on stage, and it's just like, okay, no, I got to do this. And maybe what if I opened with this? And what if I put this? And it just becomes, there's this added weight to it that makes it the opposite reason, the entire reason why I got into this business was not to have a fucking real job. I wanted to have fun. So which goes back to what I was talking about you when I was watching. I was like, fuck, Joe's on the other side. He shot his special, and now he's going down. And as much as it can be frustrating putting it together, he's having fun every night. Seeing, all right, where's this idea gonna go?
Yeah.
Is this gonna lead? Because this, when I'm putting together a new hour, I have some of the hackiest shit ever. And I take all of those rules and throw them out the window. I don't give a fuck if you see me doing these jokes. And most of them don't live, but some of them grow into something that's
better.
Yeah, and then it's not hacky, and now it's this thing that then shoots off into this, and then you just start spinning off over here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, hey, I got 8 minutes. I got 12 minutes.
There's seeds, right?
Yeah, it's starting to come together. So when people go down there, and it's literally it's not even done. You're just starting to draw. And they're reacting to it, saying it sucks, and it's not done.
Yeah, I agree with you. It sucks.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah, this is how I work out. But some people know that. Some people understand that. Some people think they come to see a finished product. Most people now, today, in 2019.
Yeah, crowds are great.
Yes.
It's just one person in 50 shows complains, and it's because there's so much shit to look at, controversy. Gets people to stop at your website, and then you get credit from the advertisers on the side, and then they gas up shit, and they I saw a guy recently talking because it's weird. Everyone on the internet hates me, but I walk down the street and everybody loves me. So it's just so what's really going on there? What's going on is the small percentage that don't like you is being shown to be the majority.
Well, it's a very vocal minority who get upset about things, and they're adamant about it, and they're very active. That's what it is. The people that are upset about certain things, people that are, and they're really responding
specific
to outrage
things.
culture.
They're very, because then you can do exactly 9 times out of 10 exactly what they're complaining is being done to them. They turn around and then trying to find their justice. And they just, I don't know, the irony seems to be lost on these people. But I try not to talk about that shit a lot because I don't want to give it any more added weight than it deserves. And it's just if people bring it up, I just say, not everybody's going to like me.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't need everybody, I just need enough people to fill up enough of wherever I'm playing so I can continue doing this. That's all I need.
Not only that, as a comedy fan, what you're doing right now, what you're doing on the special, the stuff that I saw you working out before the special, is what I always wanted to see. As a comedy fan, that's what I like. I like people who take risks, who say crazy shit that is you're walking out on a line. Right. You're on a wire. I want to see you like that Troops bit. You're walking on a fucking wire, and you could feel it. You can feel buttholes clenching up while you start the bit. I love it. That kind of comedy to me is the most fun, especially now at this day and age, with all my years in comedy.
Right.
If something still makes me go, oh shit, where's he going?
Yeah.
And then you pull it off.
But the thing is if you're going to keep being a comedian, then you know how to do it.
Yeah.
So then you're just going to be bored if you just wrote shit that you knew the crowd was going to like and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But to then challenge yourself to kind of, hey, can I say what I think about this in a funny way that doesn't put people, because I'm not that guy. I don't want to walk the crowd. I don't want to have people waiting to yell at me.
Right.
There's certain people that like that and kind of want to be that person. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to make you laugh. And I definitely, will steer into air. I have a lot of silly shit too, but I'll steer into some areas or whatever. But it's all like just done in fun. It's just done in fun. It's just silly. You just listen to some idiot at a bar. That's all you're doing.
Exactly. And if you're not there to see that, well, then you picked the wrong place.
Yeah, it's not legislation.
Now you know. Go home. Yeah.
I just saw a great quote. Joan Rivers said that. One
What'd
of my
she say?
favorites of all time.
What'd you say?
Saying a comedian should never apologize for a joke. It just means you didn't get the joke, and
That bitch was ruthless.
oh, dude.
She was ruthless. To the day she died, she was ruthless.
No, I saw her. I saw her towards the end of her life, and I was just going like, I couldn't pull that off. But like, she was also somebody that like was like Carlin, where it was they didn't just go, okay, I got here and we're satisfied. They just kept going to higher and higher levels, and I'm telling you, if you watch her on the Ed Sullivan Show. Okay, in the 60s, where her act was at versus the 70s and then the 80s and the 90s. There's very few artists that you watch that their trajectory is this.
Continuing to climb.
Jack Lemmon, one of my favorite actors of all time. You watch him in The Apartment, as great as he is in that. Jack Lemmon and Glenn Ross blows away Jack Lemmon in 1960-61 because, not like I knew the guy, but like if you don't take the ride, it's what I call it. When people say, yeah, and you just, I'm fucking, that's when you just level off and you start to go back down. If you keep going, like I can learn from younger people, I can learn from older people, peers, you'll continue. But it's constant, like work.
Yes.
If you put the work in, like I'm hoping, because both of them fascinate me equally, Carlin and Joan Rivers, how they went like this, and Carlin was so fucking out there. I thought there was comedians that didn't get what he was doing towards the end. And now you go back and watch what the fuck he was saying in the 2000s, and all of that shit is happening. And he was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, people thought he was overreacting.
Oh no, he's just this angry old man. And it's just like
he saw where it was going.
You need to go back and listen. He's trying to warn you about some shit, and he was just 100%. I mean, just fucking on the money. Like I can watch shit that he said in 1990 and be like, that actually, I know what that is right now. Like that's not like. That's almost like 30 years ago, and you don't watch it like he's up there like, hey, take my wife, please. Right. It's not like this. It's like a timeless thing.
Well, some people, I think, the struggle of doing the work, of showing up at the clubs, of grinding, that feeling of, going on stage with the seeds of new material and eating shit and not knowing where they're going and taking chances, going on a limb and failing and then succeeding and then finding punchlines and new ways to take the bit, and then one night you ad-lib something and holy fuck, that's it. This is the whole thing. And then you piece it all you find a wormhole into another dimension and you piece it all together. People get weary. They get tired of doing that.
I think
look
it's
for
just
a retirement.
But I also think it's the fear of those stories we were talking about earlier is like the humiliation of trying to learn how to actually be a comedian or being in a band. Anything that involves getting up on a stage, you don't want to feel that again.
Right.
So I think people will like, okay, I'm doing this and this works. And then there's a fear, well, I'm finally drawing tickets. Because everybody, I don't give a fuck who made it. Like, most of us had that feeling in a comedy condo of, like, am I the guy who's not going to fucking make it? Yeah. What have I done? And that fucking cold sweat feeling, I think people who stop growing, I think part of it is that. You don't want to go back to what the fuck did I said something the other night on stage, and it bombed so fucking bad. It was like a vacuum. I can't believe I didn't get sucked into my own body. It was like a kick to the chest. It was like I had to pull out an old joke to get it so I could get a drink of water. Like, whew. I had not taken up the midsection. I was just sitting there like, huh?
Got it right in the liver.
Boom, yeah, liver shot. It wasn't a liver shot because I would have gone down and went.
Solar plexus.
It was, it was definitely. I had to regroup and get back on the. I stepped into like a sinkhole
It's
on that
fun
one.
that could still happen, though. I like that can still happen. I like things that scare the shit out of me. I always have. I'm into them. I'm not into safe things. I like it when it goes off the road and into the trees.
I in certain parts, in comedy, I do. I don't like that in
Life.
Yeah, in my personal relationships. I don't like when it gets scary.
I don't like that either. Yeah, that's that could be a problem. Yeah, I think that we all can learn, like, if we keep doing it. I think Dom Herrera told me this too. He goes, Joe, one of the things I really love about comedy, he goes, I think I'm better than I've ever been. He goes, I've been doing this comedy for fucking 40 years.
I agree with that.
I agree with it as well. But it's because of his love of it. You know, Dom loves it. Like, he'll go on stage in the OR, and they're bringing him up, you know, ladies and gentlemen, you see this guy on HBO, and this and that and that and this, all his fucking credits. Yep. And he's walking onto that stage with a big smile on his face. This is the best part of his day.
Yep.
He's going to go up there and fucking murder.
Does anybody give a better shitting on you intro than him?
No, he's
one of my
the best.
favorite things at the store is like Dom's bringing up like, oh, I can't wait to hear what he says about me.
Yeah.
And it's always like this, he does this complimentary while he's taking your fucking knees out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he's a fantastic on Kill Tony. He's one of the best guests ever on Kill Tony. Because, you know, because those comics go up and they do 1 minute, and so many of them are brand new. They might have done stand-up once or never before. It's their first
I can't believe those kids have the balls to do that.
It's amazing.
I wouldn't.
It's a great show. It's a great show because of that. And Tony's such a great host, and him and Red Band fucking with the people. But my favorite by far side guest is when Dom is a guest.
I'll have to check that out.
Because he's so fucking good at it. He's so good at shitting on bad comedy. And half compliment you and half shitting at you at the same time. I used to love his show that he used to do at the Laugh Factory, Bustin' Balls with Dime Herrera.
Yeah.
He would do...
I did that.
Yeah, they would sit
I did
down
like
with
an hour
you.
on Jamie Masada.
Buddy,
I never said that, man. I
Never said that,
You
Bill
did
Burr.
say that. You did say that. You did ban me from the club.
Listen,
you did all
buddy.
of this shit.
I don't know who put your stuff on YouTube. Was not me, buddy. It's not me, buddy. Yeah.
He never owns up to the fact he banned me from the club one time. That never happened. Man.
Why did he ban you?
He was doing this thing where he wanted people to work clean or something, and I went up there, and admittedly, just some nights you get on stage, you start saying fuck, and you can't stop. It was one of those sets. And he goes, buddy, what happened, man? You know, you go up on stage, you fuck all over the place, man. And I just laughed. I thought he was fucking around. And then I all of a sudden I wasn't getting spots. And then somebody gave me the advice, call him up and apologize. Ugh. And then he knew he had me. And I apologized, and then he just fucked with me.
How long ago was this?
Late 90s.
Fun times.
No, they were not fun times. And the store was not fun. You go down the store, there was like nobody there. And it was just these fucking famous comics would just drop in, and they would do like hours and hours. And they didn't do the work. They hadn't written anything. And they were just standing in the mic saying, yeah, so what else is going on? And they were teaching all these young comics that like, someday when I get on a show, I'm going to fucking do that. I'm going to come in there. And I remember being like, this is what it is? What the fuck is this? And then it was all late 90s. Then I went down to the Improv, and Seinfeld, it was right as Seinfeld had wrapped up, and it was the first time I was seeing him live, and it was like Jerry's popping in. And I was just like, oh, wow, man. Okay, I want to see Jerry. And he had a 20-minute spot, and he did 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He came up, he opened with something that worked, he closed with something that worked, and he worked on his new shit in the middle. 20 minutes, got the light, wrapped up, thank you, good night. I remember thinking, like, that guy's a fucking pro.
A pro. Yeah. There was a time where that was a thing to do, where guys, and I think Chris Rock would do it, where that's how he would come up with material. And he would say to the audience, don't get too excited, this shit ain't gonna be that funny.
Right.
He would say that. Like, he would go on after somebody that killed. Like someone would do like 15 minutes
Right.
of all their best shit, and then Chris would pop in. So Chris would go up afterward, and he'd go, what else? What else? And he would I think it was a strategy to put himself in these bad positions, hoping that he
Right.
would find a way out of it, and then he would take those little chunks that he would find when he would find a way out of
Right.
it, and then build those into bits.
But he wasn't one of those guys that went up and just did 2 hours to do 2 hours because he was Chris Rock.
no, he'd do like 20 minutes or something.
He was always like, whenever I saw him pop in, I would always watch because he was
Working.
He had written stuff,
Yeah.
and he was working on it, and it was
I know who you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about exactly. Yeah, that would do. There's a couple of guys that would do that. Yeah.
Oh, it was the worst.
It was bad because they weren't even trying to be. They weren't trying to entertain the crowd, and
They
by
were
the time
they were going up
done,
there being famous.
yes, and by the time they were done, the fucking show was done. People would just get up in droves because it wasn't entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, those days are done. You know, that's the beautiful thing. There's no more of that. A couple people have tried to do that, you know. A couple people have come in, like, fairly recently that are famous and run the light and have done 45 minutes to try to do that, and they can't come back. They've had a few of those people try to stop in.
I never thought that would. I always thought that fame would win that one. That's good to hear that. Again, they're actually doing the person a favor.
Well, you know why they can't do that anymore? The shows are sold out every fucking night at the store, and it's packed with killer comedians. You
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. You can't go on in between you and D'Elia and Joey Diaz and just what else? What else? You can't do that anymore. Those days are done.
Yeah, you got to bring it after Joey.
Those days are done. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Joey Diaz will leave a fucking hole in that room. He leaves a hole, and you got to fill that fucking hole in before he can even start to tell
Yeah.
jokes. Yeah.
I love Joey.
He's a monster. I've never seen anybody kill harder in my life. I've been doing comedy 31 years. I've never seen anybody kill harder than Joey Diaz.
he has a command.
He's a monster.
Yeah, when he goes out there, it's like, all right, the captain's here.
Yeah, he's a monster. He hits some high... And also, by the way, he's doing comedy from 1990. He's doing comedy like Me Too never happened, the internet never happened, there's no fucking rules.
Yeah.
He does not give a fuck. And just really doesn't.
It
Really
still
doesn't.
kills because most
Murders.
people
Yeah.
don't give a fuck.
Well,
not
it's
in a
funny.
not in a toxic
Right.
fucking way
Right.
that they say. It's just like they know they're seeing jokes.
Yeah.
They know that
Yeah.
he's fucking around.
Right. He's funny.
Yeah.
And it's good. That's
Yeah.
the other thing too. It's ridiculous, outrageous, but it's also really well-worded, well-timed shit.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much good
You know,
comedy.
somebody
right
was
now.
telling me there's a thing out there now that if somebody shows up who's hard of hearing, you're supposed to have a device for that to help them out, and if they don't, they can sue you. So there's some fucking ambulance chaser, hard of hearing guy going around suing people.
Well, I've done shows where they had a sign language first, and you've done that, right? Well, they have to do it
Yeah.
at certain theaters. Like,
But my thing is, why is it on the club? It's like, you know, you're hard of hearing.
yeah,
How the fuck? Like, I gotta.
yeah, hire somebody.
Yeah, if you have a limp, do I have to make sure there's a cane there?
I did Cobb's once, and there was a guy in the audience that was deaf, and he actually hired someone to do sign language. So someone was sitting facing him while I was like, he was facing me, and someone was sitting like, say if Jamie is the audience member, and you're you know, like this TV's where the stand-up is. This lady was doing this, and then doing this to him, doing this, and doing this to him, and the guy was like getting one, and so I was going, what's going on here? And then I had to sort it out.
Right.
Oh, you hired her to do that? He goes, yeah, I bring her to, you know, he explained, I
Right.
bring her to comedy clubs. I go, do you bring her to movies? Like, he's like, it's like, this guy had this lady that he would hire, and she would do sign language for him. But good for him, though. He didn't make a big deal out of it. He hired somebody.
That's actually great. So he can go to movies and nobody talking bugs him. People eating their popcorn too loud. He can't hear
doesn't
any
give
of
a
it.
fuck.
He's just getting. He only needs to see a movie once. He gets all the
Yeah.
fucking dialogue.
He doesn't get the music, the manipulation the music gives you. That shit doesn't work on him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, this music drives me nuts in movies. I mean, I like it. It adds to movies.
Right.
But there's sometimes when I'm aware of it, that's when it bothers me. When I'm aware. When there's like piano playing and
yeah.
the guy and the girl are holding hands, I'm like, come on.
Right.
You didn't need to do this to me.
Or if they pick a hacky song that you've seen in like 40 different movies, it's like, all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was cool when Scorsese used it in 1980.
But it's an interesting thing because it came from the time where there was no sound in movies. So they would add a musical soundtrack. Because the movies were silent. and you would see the screen where the words would come out. So we, from then, associated movies with music.
Right.
It's a weird thing. Like, these people are talking. There's a shootout. There's a fucking fight in a scene in a movie in a comedy club or whatever in the movie, and then there's music playing and all this stuff's going on. Like, why is there music playing? Why are you manipulating? Because they've always had music in movies.
Right.
So from the time they had movies where they were silent, there was music playing in the background. They just kept it in there. Like, it doesn't make sense that music is in movies. You're showing me scenes of things that are supposedly really happening, and I'm supposed to be locked in like they're really happening, but there's this unexplained fucking music that corresponds with all the action on the screen.
But there's an art to everything.
Oh, for
So
sure.
if used properly,
Yes.
It's
No, for
fucking
sure there's an art.
incredible.
But it's amazing that we automatically associate those two things together.
Right.
Because music is a totally different thing than a movie. But yet, they're inexorable to us.
I wouldn't want to watch Jaws without that fucking theme.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it's
back.
I wonder.
That's all I would think when I'd hear that. Ah, no, it's back.
I wonder if when they first invented movies, if they already had invented audio recording. Because it's kind of crazy that they invented video recording before audio. You would think that it'd be easier.
No, there used to be if some person would be playing the piano live.
Sure. They did that too.
At the that's what I thought.
I think they
A little
did that
before my
too.
time.
I think they did that too. But they definitely, if you watch an old silent movie, there's music.
You know, I watched the thing on I like those Turner Classic Movies, and I was watching this thing. They did a whole thing on Buster Keaton. It was fucking unbelievable. I recorded it, watched it like 3 times. Do you know that guy broke his neck doing a fucking stunt? Wasn't even aware that he did it. He was definitely in pain. He was doing some gig, some bit. There was like a train coming down. You know the water spout thing that you pulled down?
Yeah.
The joke was that it came down on him, but they didn't understand. They didn't, the physics of it, how hard that water was coming out, and it slammed him down onto the train tracks. There's so much water, you don't see how he hits, but he broke his fucking neck and didn't realize it. Then years later, he went to the doctor with some headaches or something I don't know what the hell it was. But the guy was going, he's just looking at the x-rays. He's like, so when'd you break your neck? He goes, I never broke my neck. He goes, yeah, you did. And point this shit out.
Yeah. I dislocated my shoulder apparently at one point in time. I didn't know I did it. I got an MRI. The doctor's like, you dislocated your shoulder. And I'm like,
dude,
when?
you're a fucking lunatic. I would have been flopping like a fish out of water if I did it.
You know who else broke his neck in a movie? Stallone. When he was like 65. When he was doing The Expendables. Someone threw him into a wall and he snapped his neck. To this day, he's got bolts and rods in his neck. It's all fused together.
Whoa.
Yeah, you see an x-ray of his neck? It's fucking nuts. Pull up an x-ray of Sylvester Stallone's neck.
Talk about a guy still fucking giving people their money's worth.
Yes.
65, he won't even do the stunt double?
This show is like the Sylvester Stallone fan club show because everybody, like whenever his name comes up, like the other day, Eddie Bravo was talking about all the fucking movies. The guy's relevant from Rocky 1 in the 1970s, and now he's doing like Rambo 14 or whatever the fuck it is. He's
Last
85
Blood.
years old.
September 20th, I
Yeah,
think.
he's a geriatric old man holding a knife. Coming to get you. He's still at it.
Yeah.
Still at it. Billboards everywhere. Rambo. People are psyched. Probably going to be the number one movie in the country.
I love a stuntman.
Didn't use a stuntman and broke his fucking neck and then
That's for
continued
all you
filming.
youngsters out there. Anytime they go, you want the stuntman to do it? Always say yes.
Look at this.
Tom
Look at
Cruise
this. Look at his
taping
neck.
himself to the side of a plane. These guys are crazy.
Look at his neck. So he's got a cage. Scroll up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so his neck is fused. All those vertebrae and screws and bolts.
And those never come out.
Never. That is his neck for life. Not only that, it compromises the upper and lower discs. So that when your neck is fused like that, that's an unnatural sort of condition for those joints. So the upper and lower ones, there's additional stress, and it's an unnatural leverage point. Fucking dude, he did it when he was like 65. He's got screws and bolts in his neck and shit. He got thrown into a wall and cracked. What does it say? Stone Cold Steve Austin was so fucking vicious I ended up getting a hairline fracture in my neck. I'm not joking. I haven't told anyone this. I had to have a very serious operation afterwards. Now I have a metal plate in my neck. Yeah. Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's
also he broke his neck.
oh, he broke everything. All those guys have everything.
No, the
broken.
guy was putting him in the pile driver.
Oh, really?
And he was supposed to, but
supposed to leave distance.
You're
right.
supposed to have like the guy's head's poking through. When he jumps up, you kind of ease up with your legs. So at the last second, you tuck your chin. I guess.
Right.
Was how I watched him explain this shit. And what the guy was like freaking out that he was fighting him or something like that, or he fucked up.
Oh, look, you can see it right there.
Oh yeah, see that? He didn't do it properly. He dropped him right on his fucking neck. I mean,
Ooh, it says almost broke his neck, but it probably fucked up his discs. The craziest one I
what
ever
was crazy
saw,
was he was supposed to win that match, and then he was just fucking laying there, so they didn't know what to do. So then they just took his arm and just put it on the guy's chest, and they were like 1, 2, 3, over.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The craziest one I ever saw was Brock Lesnar. He did a flip through the air and landed on his head. Flip through the air. He's 300 pounds. Flips through the air. I think he called it a shooting star press or something like that. He would flip through the air to land on somebody, but he miscalculated or he slipped or whatever when he did the jump off the top rope.
Oh, God.
300-pound gigantic man lands on his face. Didn't even knock him out. Just continue like, and just fucking pin the guy afterwards. Watch this. This is fucking...
Oh, God, this shit freaks me out.
Absolutely preposterous. Scroll to the end where he flies through the air. Isn't there like just a highlight of the
It's
actual?
not as available.
We used to joke that guy was so big, like that's the sword tattoo is like actual size.
I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, it's right before that. Right before that, because that's where he's KO'd. Yeah, right before that. So scroll a little bit before that. A little bit before that. Just right there. Click there. Okay, so it must be right before. So it seems like they're showing highlights here. Okay. They don't have it on YouTube?
I think it's because he's good at the animals getting eaten alive.
Yeah, this is it. Here he is. This is him.
Oh no!
Watch this. Look at the size of that motherfucker. It looks like a cartoon. Look. Boom! He missed.
Oh!
Landed head first. Look at him. Holding his head. Most humans are dead right there. Just dead.
Oh!
So Kurt Angle's trying to pin him. Nope. Shucks him off. The idea that you're even alive when you land on your head like that. He just totally miscalculated.
He's so lucky he's not paralyzed.
Oh, yeah. Well, he doesn't have a neck. He just has shoulders that go to the top of his head.
And he stays with the storyline.
Yeah. He popped out of it.
Wow, that's a fucking pro.
Well, that's why he gets the big bucks. That's why he gets the big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
He was thinking about coming back to the UFC up until just a few months ago. He was going to fight Daniel Cormier. They were holding the heavyweight title because they were going to match him and Daniel Cormier. But then he just decided, he was doing some legitimate wrestling with some real national champions in Michigan State. And, I think he got to a point in his life, he's like, especially without steroids, because the UFC has very strict anti-doping policies. And the last time he fought, he tested positive. And so he was like, look, I just can't do this. I'm not going to do this. And plus, when he was on WWE, there's not a chance in the world he was pissing clean. I mean, so for the years after the UFC, when he was on WWE, he was taking whatever fucking wanted to. And he was giant, built like a fucking brick shit house. Jeez. And then they're like, he's like, I want to fight one more time. And if he's going to fight one more time, he's got to be clean. So he's got to enter into the USADA testing pool. So he's got to be in that testing pool for a period of several months before they'll allow him to compete. So they're testing him this whole time.
Such a dumb fuck. I was picturing him getting into a pool.
Oh.
And I'm like, what do they do? What, you sweat? They figure it out.
Get in the pool. We need to clean you to find out if you're on steroids. But he was that close. I mean, he's like.
I'm so glad you continued to talk to that point, or I would have been walking around. They got a pool, and they get in the pool, and they make you do some laps, and then they test the water if there's steroids in it. Why the pool? I just think it's more accurate. You just keep answering, and you don't have an answer. You just give one. Oh boy. All right.
It's a fucking giant human being.
Yes, he is.
That's Viking DNA right there, kid.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
All right, let's wrap this bitch up, huh?
Yeah.
Let's get in a sauna. Relax.
Let's do it.
Let's
do it. Sweat out
take
the
a nice sauna. Ladies and gentlemen.
How did you like this cigar, by the way?
I liked it very much. Well, I didn't have that one. I had this one right here, which was a different one. What is this one?
This is my favorite right here.
I wish I could read this, but my old man eyes are not
La
allowing me.
Aurora Sapphire. Great afternoon
I got
stick.
one right here.
Great afternoon steak.
have it later.
Nice and mild, yet flavorful.
Tonight, Netflix, midnight all across the country, Eastern time, everywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
midnight tonight.
I don't know how it works in other countries, but I would think the way Netflix does their business, they're good at it.
They're
so.
on top of it.
Yeah.
They're the shit.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for you, brother. I'm very excited to see it too.
Oh, thank you very much. And once again, thank you to Mike Binder for the way that it looks.
Shout out to Mike Binder.
You gotta see it.
And if you come to the Improv and the Comedy Store Thursday night, Bill will be working with me. We're going to have some fun. And that's it. Bye, you fucks. See ya.
Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
And we're live. Gentlemen, here we go again. What's happening?
Back in the room.
A pleasure to see you guys. As always, this is one of my favorite podcasts that we ever do. And this is very timely because, first of all, the big New York Times article about the possibility of a comet hitting Los Angeles, the preparations for what they would do if a comet hit Los Angeles, and the comet known as Donald Trump that's hit the United States. And
He's even got the hair.
it's just the whole thing is, I mean, if the end of the world was coming, boy, it's all on the wall. You know, the writing's all there. It's kind of crazy. So what's the latest and the greatest?
Well, the latest and the greatest is, I mean, last year when we sat down with you, I think it was last November,
Yeah, it was almost a year.
got floated in the discussion the idea that this really important comet research that's going on, which is just changing our whole view of history and prehistory and of the future of humanity, that it would be good to make a film about this and crowdfund it. I actually mentioned that to the scientists, and they said what we really need is more funding for our research. And so they've, inspired by your show, they have put out a crowdfunding campaign, which is linked on my website. It's the Comet Research Group, and it's a big story right now.
So how can people find it really quickly? It's Indiegogo.
Well, no,
Comet Research Group.
much quicker way. Just go to my website, grahamhancock.com, and there's a revolving banner which is the Comet Research Group. Click on that, and you're in this. Beautiful.
Okay, grahamhancock.com, and then crowdfunding for Comet Research. And so what are they trying to put together?
Well, they're wanting to. You see, the thing is, these guys have actually not had any official funding. This is a group of major, highly credentialed scientists who, for the last decade, have been investigating the extraordinary story of a massive series of comet impacts on the North American ice cap 12,800 years ago. That is the global cataclysm that wipes out a whole civilization from prehistory. So that's why it's of interest to me. They're not coming at it from that point of view. They're coming at it from rediscovering something that we'd lost about ourselves. Something that's really important to understand the role of cataclysms in the story of the Earth. And they need to do much more research. So they need to go back to Greenland and look for the nanodiamonds in the Greenland ice cores. There's an ancient city which they're not revealing the name of, which they're pretty certain was wiped out by a comet impact about 4,500 years ago. They want to go there and investigate that. So there's a lot of field work they need to do to drive home this hypothesis and to, frankly, put down the opposition, because there's been so much opposition to this idea from people with vested interest in other theories that, and that's why these guys have not got funding. So the only place they're going to get funding to do this further research is from members of the general public, and that's what we're hoping that will happen. It's called the Comet Research Group. There's a banner on my site, and all the links are there to their crowdfunding, to their website, which is full of masses of scientific information, and to their Facebook page as well.
It is a very unusual thing, the fact that we know that comets and all sorts of various large objects have impacted the Earth. We see the craters, we know they exist, but it's so rarely discussed. It's so strange. If it wasn't for this article in the New York Times, I can't remember when the last time it even came up. And it's such a huge issue.
It's a massive issue. Both Randall and I have really, given a great deal of thought to this. And I think, Randall, the point is that catastrophes are the untold story of our past.
We were given a little hint of it on February of 2013, Chelyabinsk, Siberia. Remember the event?
Yeah.
Now that was just a little cosmic speck. Came in, it was about 15 feet in diameter, which is about and it came in at a fairly low angle. It blew up nearly 18,
Get that thing right in front of you.
right in front of me, like this.
Yeah, if you flatten it out, it's usually easier.
How's this? Is this better?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
So it came in, I think it exploded 12 miles, about 20 kilometers up in the atmosphere, but it was still enough to damage thousands of buildings and injure 1,500 people. Now, the thing about that one is if it had been slightly larger, if it had come in at a slightly steeper angle, a little bit higher velocity, you could have had thousands of fatalities rather than just injuries. And that would have been major headline news at that point. As it was, it's already forgotten. But you do remember
Yes.
that
Oh, yeah.
oversight? We may even have talked about
I believe
that.
we
I
did.
think we did, yeah.
I think
in
we
our
even
last-
showed videos of it. Well,
Yeah.
what's fascinating is Russia has so many of those dash cam photo
Yeah.
cameras.
That's right.
Because they have so much insurance fraud apparently over there. People
Right.
slam into each other all the time and they want to record it. So we're fortunate enough to have so many of those videos because of that.
Which puts it on the record, whereas otherwise it would not be. I think people don't like to talk about cataclysms and catastrophes, and actually nor do I. Nobody wants a horrible cataclysm to occur, but this is the point, which is that the prospect of a comet or asteroid cataclysm on the Earth is actually much higher than has been told to us up till now, and something can be done about it. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. We don't have to, say, okay, it's all over, forget about it. Quite the contrary. This is just something that would be prudent and rational for the human species to do, and amongst many other imprudent and irrational things that we focus on instead, we should be focusing on a bit on this.
Well, at least just to heighten awareness of it, and also the possibility that we've been nailed a bunch of times and we've forgotten about it. And this is the big thing that you've been dealing with your entire career.
Yeah.
This skepticism about past civilizations. I mean, I got into it with Michael Shermer, who's a friend of mine, who's a very famous skeptic. I got into him with it yesterday. Because I posted that you were going to be on, and he started chirping something about civilizations 12,000 years ago. Evidence. I'm like, you're saying this, and you don't even know about Göbekli Tepe. So I sent him Göbekli Tepe, and literally like 5 hours later, he wrote something claiming that, well, that was made by hunter-gatherers. It was all just really to sort of suit his narrative. But he doesn't know that. No one knows that.
Nobody knows that. They're so determined to keep the existing
Exactly.
model, and when new evidence comes in which can't be explained by the existing model, they just try to explain away the new evidence and not think maybe it's time to change our theory. This is the unfortunate thing. But cataclysms, a global cataclysm, the massive event that happened 12,800 years ago, the Younger Dryas impacts, which were a series of comet impacts on the North American ice cap. This accounts for why we don't have a lot of evidence, hard evidence, of a 12,000 plus year old civilization, because it went down in that catastrophe. It was wiped out.
I've been trying to amass the evidence, actually, that complements what Graham is doing, and it really answers that question that Shermer brought up. And it's a legitimate question. Where's the evidence? But I'm quite sure that Shermer is not really educated in the extreme events that have really taken place on this planet in the last 10 to 20,000 years, and what that would do to any kind of evidence. And maybe while we have some time here today, I brought a few things to try to convey some sense of how extreme some of these changes have been, and how one would actually be quite shocked to find anything existing in the aftermath of these events.
Well, Michael Shermer's a brilliant guy.
Sure.
And I don't mean to shit on him, but what is disturbing to me is that his knee-jerk reaction to this, without having any research at all in the subject, not knowing at all about Göbekli Tepe, which was discovered in what, the 90s?
Yeah, 96.
So this is, to me, this is something that I've looked at because of you guys in great depth. When I read your book, I was just completely enthralled with this idea of history having some sort of a rise and fall, and civilization having these resets. So I've been absorbed in it for a long time. But what's fascinating to me is people that consider themselves to be skeptical, or he's a skeptic professional.
Sure.
But many people who question anything that's outside of what they've been told, as soon as they hear any sort of a theory outside of what they've been told, they immediately call quackery.
Absolutely.
But it's a weird knee-jerk reaction to something, especially when you talk about asteroids, that is a very real part of our past. We have a ton of evidence. I mean, there's actual craters that you can look at on Earth The moon, which has no atmosphere, is littered with them. And if we look at the moon as a model for what could possibly have happened to Earth, or at least, some of them, obviously with the moon having no atmosphere, it's going to get hit a lot more than we are. Sure. But still, this is a very real situation that this solar system, at least as far as we know, the only solar system has to deal with this. But we know this is a real issue. We've seen impacts.
But like you just said, on the one hand, you have Earth scientists looking at the Earth, and what they're realizing is that the Earth is pockmarked with scars, and each of these scars represents a tremendously powerful catastrophe that has happened in the history of the Earth. Now, that's accepted by mainstream science, that major catastrophes have happened in the history of the Earth. But where this thing now is about to come full circle is the recognition that these kinds of catastrophes have also influenced the rise and fall of civilization, and a lot more extremely than has been recognized up to this point. And while geologists and earth scientists are looking at the surface of the Earth and realizing that etched into the surface of the Earth, or imprinted into the surface of the Earth, are hundreds of scars, of which undoubtedly are only a small percentage of the total that exist. At the same time, astronomers are looking out into near-Earth space and discovering that we cohabit space with a lot of stuff. It's not as empty as we thought. Just within the last 6 or 7 weeks, we've had 2 close flybys.
Of previously undiscovered asteroids. This is the point, because NASA keeps saying, well, we've counted 1,650 asteroids, and none of them are going to hit the Earth in the next 100 years. Well, yeah, that's true. But what about all the ones they haven't counted, which are estimated to run into hundreds of thousands and which haven't been seen yet? And what happens is we see them roughly 10 days before they pass the Earth. That is not enough time to do anything about them. But we have time if we're prepared to be rational and reasonable as a civilization to take care of this issue.
Now, when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of near-Earth objects that are flying around, what are the things that could be done to protect Earth?
You can paint, it's low-tech actually. You can paint one side of the asteroid, affect its albedo so that the sun's rays push differentially on one side rather than the other. That will shift its orbit slightly. It has to be calculated. You can give it a little knock with a rocket, basically. You don't want to blow it up. You don't want to turn, your one big piece of artillery shell into buckshot. You don't want to do that. You want to move it into a safer orbit. You can mount jets on it. People are looking now to mining asteroids. Of course, our society always goes, our civilization always goes for where the money's to be made. But if we can mine asteroids, we can move asteroids, and the technology is there.
And ironically, the most dangerous asteroids are going to be the ones that are the closest to the Earth, which are the most accessible. And the asteroids pretty much have unbelievable amounts of resources on them. Pretty much everything that is being mined on the Earth can be found in asteroids, from the hydrocarbons to precious metals to all of these things. And we're not that far away from technologically being able to actually, mount expeditions to asteroids and mine them. And that's the solution I kind of prefer, because again, these things are tremendous sources of all kinds of things that would be usable to an expanding civilization, and we could feasibly, within a decade or two, be mining asteroids. And again, the ones that are the easiest to access are also going to be the ones that are more dangerous, because they're the ones that are coming the closest to the Earth. So,
and another point here is that there is one specific danger. There's one specific, if you like, region of the sky that really needs to be looked at. And this is the region of the sky. This is why I wrote Magicians of the Gods, because of this discovery, that there's a thing called the Taurid meteor stream, which is 30 million kilometers wide and which envelops the solar system. And the Earth on its orbit around the sun passes through the Taurid meteor stream twice a year. Turns out the Taurid meteor stream is the debris of a giant comet that came into the inner solar system about 20,000 years ago. That thing was at least 100 kilometers in diameter, according to their calculations. It may have been more so. And then, like other comets like Shoemaker-Levy 9, which spectacularly hit Jupiter in 1994, it began to break up into multiple fragments, and those carry on orbiting on the original path, and as they break up more and more, they degrade, and small bits and large bits break off, and it gradually fills up a kind of huge hoop of debris that the Earth is passing through twice a year. It takes us 12 days to pass through it. We do 2.5 million kilometers a day on our orbital path. 12 days to get through the Taurid meteor stream. And the scientists of the Comet Research Group have made the point that a big object out of the Taurid meteor stream, multiple objects as a matter of fact, was what hit the North American ice cap 12,800 years ago. It looks like there was a second series of impacts 11,600 years ago from the same source. It looks like there were other impacts in the Bronze Age. The most recent, almost definite impact out of the Taurid meteor stream was Tunguska in Siberia back in 1908. That hit on the 30th of June 1908, and that's at the peak of the Taurid June shower, when we passed through the Taurids in June and in November. And what they're saying is we really need to focus on this Taurid meteor stream. Their calculations are that there are hundreds and hundreds of massive objects in that Taurid meteor stream. And, you know, as a comet breaks up into bits, those bits become asteroids, and those asteroids are circling in the Taurid meteor stream. And I've likened it to strapping on a blindfold and crossing an 8-lane interstate twice a year and just hoping that we don't hit any heavy traffic, you know, that we meet bicycles or motorcycles rather than trucks. But the trucks are out there, and what the Comet Research Group scientists are saying is we need now to be in-depth investigating the Taurid meteor stream, because it appears to be the hidden hand in human civilization. It has wiped out episodes of our history in the past, and there's no reason to expect that it won't do so again unless we do something about it, because the remnants of that original giant comet are still circling in the Taurid meteor stream, and they are fucking dangerous.
Now, how is this being received in mainstream science? I mean, is there any resistance to this? Because it seems like this is all pretty straightforward and traceable.
Mostly being ignored.
Mostly being ignored.
And why do you think that is?
By scientists who have a vested interest in other ideas. First of all, there's a vested interest in not admitting that cataclysms are important at all. This goes right back to the 19th century, when science began to take shape in the form that we know it now, and they wanted to separate themselves off, understandably, from superstition. So they didn't want anything to do with something that sounds like the biblical flood, for example. They felt they would be contaminated by that, and they preferred to explain any cataclysmic evidence as a result of gradual processes.
So you really think it's because of the reluctance to accept religion or religious ideas, or to separate themselves
No,
from
I think that's where it started.
That's where it started.
They wanted to separate themselves off from that. Now they've gone a long way from that, and many, many scientists have got a vested interest in what is called uniformitarianism or gradualism. And they don't like to hear about cataclysms having any major impact on the story of life on Earth.
So is it sort of the momentum of these initial desires to escape religious influence that have sort of led them down this path?
Yes. And then there are others who have a vested interest in current accounts of global warming, others who have a vested interest in extinctions taking place now. They want to say that our ancestors were responsible for the extinction of all the mammoths and mastodons and so on and so forth, whereas the Comet Research Group scientists are saying no. Those huge megafauna of North America were wiped out as a result of a massive series of impacts on the North American ice cap.
I'm reading a book right now by Dan Flores, a really interesting book called Coyote America. He's a wildlife historian, and he is really an expert on all the different forms of wildlife in North America, where they originated, where they migrated to. And one of the more fascinating things about it is he's talking about all these animals that went extinct, 10,000 plus years ago, this mass extinction event, and never once does he bring up cataclysms, and there's all these different ideas, and one of the big ones being that human beings with atlatls, which is like really a very weird sort of a spear throwing device, wiped out the woolly mammoths and all these other animals. And
to me, it's a
seems so
lunatic.
preposterous.
It's a lunatic idea. Also, if you have any contact with hunter-gatherers today, you find that hunter-gatherer peoples don't overkill their game. They hunt them respectfully, they take what they need, and they leave the rest because it's a renewable resource for them. So I don't think hunter-gatherers wiped out the mammoths in North America. The evidence is compelling it was the comet.
Well, the evidence that you brought up when you were here the first time, when you showed the images of all those mammoths that had been literally knocked over with broken legs from the impact of something, mass burial grounds of these mass... not burial grounds, obviously, but mass casualties.
Mortality sites.
Mortality sites, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, in fact, Graham, I visited one up in South Dakota called Hot Springs, where there's just several dozen. Nobody knows how many are actually there, but there's at least several dozen two species, woolly mammoths and Columbian mammoths, that have been entombed. And while we were there, the guide, the woman giving us the tour there, was kind of giving a gradualist explanation that, well, over long periods of time, these mammoths wandered into a sinkhole and were too dumb to get out, and so they became entombed. And I asked the question, well, what studies have been done on the sedimentary matrix in which their remains are being found? Because as I'm looking at this sedimentary matrix, I'm seeing a massive deposit. In other words, a deposit that was instantaneous. And when I brought that up, she actually got very irritated. And dismissed my question, didn't, and when we've got it all worked out, we know about that. Well, what is it? Well, we've got it all worked out, and immediately went on with her narrative. But yet I had an article that was actually written by one of the original scientists who worked on the site, and his description was, well, it could have been that, but also as an alternative, and he used the term bloat and float, that what you had was woolly mammoths that had been caught in a flood, drowned, and their bloated carcass.
for Demacia.
Justice will be served. Only the worthy will survive.
fury.
Glory of Demacia will never fade.
Tremble at my roar! Only the worthy will survive.
Great strong.
I have done cannot be undone.
No one escapes my aim.
Let's do this.
The cost of a life is one arrow.
Illuminate. Noxus will rise. Shadows have none can hide.
Though many try. exciting, isn't